It's Tuesday, the last day of February this year. I hope everybody's having a wonderful time and you get all your Black History celebrating in now before the end of the day. And somebody I know who's celebrating Black History Month quite a bit is Mr. Nick Weiser. How are you doing?
All 32 flavors of it I'm celebrating. I'm doing good, man. Happy to be here. Obviously we got some good news to talk about and some very humorous news. So hello to our chat and our mods. Thank you all for being here. I saw D-Bud and Goddess of Whim and a few others. So hail to you all. And of course, always happy to hang out you, Sir Connors, and Claudia and Script.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad to have you here. And speaking of, yes, we have clobbering times. How are you doing, my orange friend?
I'm good, buddy. Thanks for having me. An honor to be here as always with my buds talking some geekness. And hello out there to you, fantastic chat.
I know we're glad to have you, and Orange, you glad to be here.
Yeah, good. Got orange in that twice. Well done.
I did.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here, my friend. And also joining us from the Great White North, Script Doctor. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, I've been having some laughs at some of the news, some of the politics things, which I won't discuss here, and then of course the other stuff. But happy to be here with you gentlemen tonight and everyone out there listening.
Like, literally, like, I would love to thank everybody for coming today. I don't know if y'all saw that video on my Twitter.
It was very likable.
Lady. Oh, this chick, she's like I don't understand why the talking period of dating is so hard. Like, it's literally like you can't gauge how much a guy likes you, and then you think it's leading somewhere, and then it doesn't, and then and I'm just yeah, I can understand why you don't get past the talking part, bitch.
Man, not a lot has changed in the last 30 years.
Yeah, she seemed, in her defense, she seemed very likable.
If she kept her mouth shut, maybe. And I'm not meaning that in any sexist fucking way.
No,
it's
no, it was pretty bad.
And I just said too, and I catch myself doing it. It's totally oh God.
Well, everybody does it once in a while, maybe in a sentence.
Yeah, but not like that.
Oh Lord, it is.
Well, it's an abuse to address
a
and literally have become my
thoughts.
and literally have become my two biggest pet peeves coming out of people's mouths lately. Because I used to use literally a lot. I used to too, just as a humor. And now you say it people think you're just not knowing what you're talking about. So, well, yeah, I used to do it to be facetious, but now I can't even do that. This is my dry sarcasm, but whatever. Yeah, Valley Tom. That's all we need, right? Totally. Oh, shit.
Wow, Clubby has actually got that down a little.
That was pretty good. That was scary good. That was kind of scary good.
Wow,
you hung out with one too many air bubble heads.
I don't know. Now I'm embarrassed. I'm sorry. I take it back.
Oh, it can't be undone. It was already on TV.
Can't do it. It's in 4K now.
Oh dear.
Shit. Speaking of Valley Girls, though, we've been hearing some rumors. So let's start there. There was some talk about how Captain Marvel was pushed back to November. And supposedly there's some news about some test screenings. So we're going to get into that. And I found a better article. I guess it's hard to say a better article, but an article that actually makes some good points, even though it's clearly another we got to go after Zaslav and Warner Brothers article, just like the rest, about Lord of the Rings. So we might get into that. And then you guys were saying something about the Ant-Man writer earlier, so we might get into that too.
Some kind of variety article that I believe a friend of ours was talking about, where the writers was whining or getting depressed about the reviews or whatever. But
well, like Script Doctor said before the show, he should be disappointed. He wrote a shitty script.
Yeah.
Oh yes. What if he wrote a really great one and it got ruined? That'd be fun. That would be fun.
That's the other problem here.
I'm just kidding.
Kind of the story we've heard. Actually, Claudia, that's a good point. because we've heard that the movie that originally was going to be was much more serious darker tone.
Yeah.
And the director, Peyton Reed, was much more happier with it. But they reshot it with more humorous scenes. And according to a lot of people who've seen it, you can tell those scenes were reshot and they're very jarring and the jokes don't land and or feel out of place. And you saw it, right?
I did. It was really, I mean, you're sitting there the whole time. I hate to use an overword term, but it's very cringy because the jokes never land. And the best they ever do is you might smile once in a while. Yeah, that's all right. But you can feel that it all seems forced. That is when I was able to focus my attention on the movie. Because most of the time, I was sitting in a dark theater, but not too dark. So you could see curtains and some spots.
You know what's also messed up is like Paul Rudd is probably one of the most likable actors today. Like, I don't know too many people. I've never heard anybody go, I hate that fucking Paul Rudd guy.
Yeah,
who doesn't
like the one that
you're right.
He was well cast as Scott Lang, and that's the part. Like, it seems like everyone who's seen it has said that it's not even a sequel to the second movie. It's basically a sequel to Loki. It's just like, so that kind of renders him and his daughter's arc, or even his ex-wife Peggy, like that, the Lang family, like it basically renders they could have brought that full circle. And the trailer that we're looking at, which, if you guys remember, I was fairly enthusiastic about, because it seemed like it was going to be like a personal fight against Kang and not something revolving around whatever it ended up being.
Well, the initial trailer kind of gave you the idea that the movie was going to be about Scott learns that there's a way he might be able to regain time with his daughter that he lost.
Yeah.
And that is a very powerful motivation for a dad. Right. Like, look, I lost this many years, 5 years or whatever it was with my daughter, plus the time he was in jail and all that shit. Maybe I can go back and change that and actually be a good dad. And that could be the plot of the film. And then what you have is you can almost do like a Wonderful Life thing where he actually succeeds, but then him being there causes other issues. And, at the end, he learns it just has to be that way or whatever. But Kang, being what he is trying to tempt him to change things for his own nefarious reasons. And it's just, there's ways you can attack it.
Dine's story about trying to go back and help and be with her daughter. And then she's like, no matter what Kang promises you, it never ends up being what you want it to be.
It's like a Faustian kind of thing. Exactly.
Quite frankly, I would not have selected to use Ant-Man to introduce Kang anyway. I would have made a third film that is more along the lines. I didn't care much for the second one so much.
Well,
but
technically, Loki introduced him, Clobby.
No, I'm not talking about. Okay, well,
but He Who Remains Buried.
I'm talking about bringing him into the forefront for a
as a
baddie. I would not have used an Ant-Man film for him for that at all, to facilitate that at all. I would have made my third Ant-Man film would have been more along the lines of the first two, even if you didn't like the second one that much. A smaller, more introverted, or and again, that's not a pun.
Well,
in a sense, it is though. I don't think it needed to be epic cosmic.
You're right though, Clobby, because both of the first two films were kind of about parents, right, on all levels.
Yes.
And kids.
Right, and that's not a pun. They're smaller, and I'm not trying to make a pun.
No. But I get exactly what you're saying, and that's where I feel like that should have been the logical place where this third film had gone. And script is right; you could have paralleled the two stories. And here I'm like, because even the ghost, isn't that her whole thing was like her father figure promised to make her better or whatever. I'm trying to remember the second film. That's what's so horrible about the second film.
Film's muddled up because you've got Scott Lang being possessed by Janet Van Dyne from the quantum realm. And then on top of that, you've got
I forgot all about that.
Her story. Yeah, because Janet's not in the movie till the very, very end.
Yeah.
Right, that's correct.
So then you got the ghost in her story with what the heck's his
name?
Bill
Foster was in it. It was basically Lawrence Fishburne was
Fishburne,
Black Goliath. Although they didn't call him that. He was Bill Foster.
You know who would have been a good villain for a third Ant-Man movie? They could have used Crossfire.
They did mention a character. They called him Leonard Starr, but he's actually the Marvel's version of Egghead. He's in that movie, but they don't use it.
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't even a MODOK, just a plain regular MODOK, been a great villain too?
Yeah, MODOK.
Yeah, especially considering Ant-Man is kind of goofy anyway, and if you're going to have heavier.
No, so AIM would be better for that, because if MODOK took over AIM after what happened in Iron Man 3, you could do a very plausible heist story with AIM trying to steal the Ant-Man technology so that they can go into the quantum realm and do whatever the heck they want. And Ant-Man has to steal it back before they get it.
I mean, even if they decide, because even if they got this, they have this incessant need to change the character so much. You could still have it be MODOK, but even have it maybe be that MODOK is the way he is because he was trying to test the technology and he fucked himself up or something.
Or you mean like Cross finds a way to come back to our world and he ends up looking like MODOK type of thing as a result?
Something like that. Yeah, you could do that if you really had to. But like again, like MODOK's a fun villain.
As like
that's what I was saying is just plain MODOK. That's what I was saying is just
I wouldn't have made him MODOK, but still, yeah, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, you don't need anybody else being MODOK. That's my point exactly. In the beginning,
I get your point, Tom, and I do agree that that's better. But at that point, it's just like if you're going through all that work, why not just make it easier and just do more? Because that's one of those times where you can, I don't want to say cut corners, but it's literally easier without cutting corners to.
No, but he's also a fun villain. He's a fun villain, and that's what Ant-Man could use. Well, you could use him in a way that he could be humorous. That's my point.
Yes.
And you could have him be a typical villain, right? That's something we haven't had in the Marvel Universe in a long time. It's just chew the scenery fucking villain who likes just being a villain, right? And even then, he had these grandiose fucking things. No, you just want this crazy little fucking robot dude head that wants to rule the fucking galaxy or whatever.
Ultron might have been the last one that was sort of like that. Yeah, I hear you.
Kind of, but Ultron was way more James Spader than Ultron.
But he was still had villainous motives. He wasn't. There was no.
You're right. He's a chew the scenery kind of villain, though, and that's what I miss. And that's one of the reasons I liked Ultron, is even though I know that's not.
Oh, I liked that movie.
His performance was a big part of that. Was just I loved his performance in that, and
I did too. And a lot of people don't, but I liked him.
And that's what we're missing nowadays. It feels like we're missing the good old, mustache twirling villain. Sometimes you need one, and MODOK, you could have fun with that. Because that's the thing is he thinks he's so much bigger than he really is, or whatever, and that's the whole joke of you can have fun with that character and have him be the humor, and let Scott's story with his daughter take the serious tone. Then, right? You can have the fun coming through the villain in that way or whatever. You don't need all this. I don't know. Kang is not a villain. I didn't even know who the fuck he was until Loki.
Kang is a long descendant of Reed Richards and Steve Storm. And one of the better stories that at least was used in the cartoon show is that he is trying to get rid of Captain America in order to restore his heroes. Yeah. He's trying to get rid of Captain America in our present because doing so allows him to maintain his empire in his time frame.
They did such a great job with Kang on that. I mean, obviously they didn't follow everything because it's impossible. But Earth's Mightiest Heroes did Kang right. If you want to see the way Kang should be, with the Princess Rowena and all that stuff, that's a great storyline. That ran through that wonderful cartoon that we got way too.
Oh, dude!
It's basically a really well done Cliff Notes of like 40 years of Marvel.
Exactly, it really was.
Robbed not getting a third and fourth season of that cartoon.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So
good.
Here's
the thing. I love it.
They were definitely in a direction where they could have gone back to stories they kind of skipped in order for like narrative.
Sure.
And done them again because again, they're not those stories they skipped are not predicated on the chronological order of things that they were telling. So they could have gone back and done Dr. Doom stealing the Baxter building and sending it into space.
And all kind of stuff like that. Yeah. I hated the last episode, but other than that, they did a great job. And even when they kind of did too much, like you were talking about a Cliff Notes version, it was still good. They even adapted stories that I did not like and did a decent job with them. But overall, it was just casting, characterization.
And that's a testament to how good the show was.
So good.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah, and I agree. If you could have got somebody like Jason Alexander to play MODOK, that'd have been inspired. Like him or Danny DeVito would have been perfect.
Oh, no, Paul Giamatti.
Or Paul Giamatti, that's another great
Giamatti,
one. Yes.
Great. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I'd be with that.
I'm with you.
Shit, you could even do like Lithgow with a little shade of Farquaad.
Yeah.
Because I love his voice too, but Paul is perfect. I agree. That's a great, because he's got the great voice to go along with it. And
yes,
when he does his yelling and shit, he spazzes out. He's great. Especially like I've seen him in a couple things, but my first time I really fell in love with him had to be the Howard Stern movie. And he's got that little thing at the end. He's like, "Motherfucking Howard Stern." Fuck. He's just like going off.
They call him the Antichrist.
Yeah, he's a fucking Antichrist.
He was great in that movie.
Yeah, he was the best part of that movie.
Yes.
Sadly, the movie itself was too much of Howard Stern, jerking himself off. But I mean,
of course,
the rest of the cast in the film though is amazing. Like, and some of that stuff did actually happen, but Stern made himself look like such a fucking.
He did.
Like, oh yeah, you're so perfect and brilliant. Yeah. Camelbot Killer says, like, wasn't the 30th the last of February? Yeah, that's the day they're gonna have that meeting with Snyder over at Netflix. And
oh, dude, I was dying when I saw that. He said that to us. I was like, Tom.
What's funny is how many people
fell happen, for Tom.
It's gonna happen. Valiant Tom. Renegade was one of the people who fell for it.
Really?
Wasn't looking at the calendar, that's for sure.
He wasn't looking at the date at all. He's just like, yeah,
it's gonna happen, Tom.
Your Muslim uncle says, Ant-Man writer to critics, don't be a dick.
I would say to the Ant-Man writer, I'd rather be a dick than a pussy.
I will, yeah, right. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that the movie may have been better than what we got.
Maybe, but I don't think that's what he's saying. I think he's just whining.
Yeah. I
don't know what he is. I have not seen the article though, so let's be fair.
Yeah. Well, we can get into it maybe. Granite Man says anything with Brie Larson will be a dumpster fire. Well, that kind of actually gets us on our main topic, and I also want to thank Muslim Uncle for being a member for a year. Happy anniversary! Thank you so much.
There you go. Hey, yeah, she has a new movie coming out called Dumpster Fire. Didn't see that? It's great. Look forward to it. So.
No, you're fine. The Chinks One says I haven't heard much in the experience of the Marvels director Nia DaCosta. She only has 2 low budget movies under her credit, which could be why it's bad. Well, that gets us right into the main topic here. Do you know anything about this Nia DaCosta script?
Well, I do know that she's falling in line with the other types of directors that Marvel has been hiring, because again, except for James Gunn, who is currently the only exception we've had at Marvel for the last 6 years, the movies are digitally directed in the effects department, and they only hire the director for the actors. And these directors are so fresh that they don't actually know how to shoot for special effects. And that does cause a significant issue with the narrative. But you have essentially a director that is there only for the actors, and everyone else on set and the crew is doing the jobs they need to do to help the director do the bare minimum.
Don't they also have action directors too?
Nope.
Sorry, script. I thought they had action directors that were separate from the main director too. I thought.
No,
like they direct all the action.
They have stunt coordinators, and any of the action that they direct is usually done digitally.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was done separately from the actual acting part of it, is what somebody was explaining one time to me. It was like, because like the movies are almost put together like a TV show. Because you have the director who comes in and just does like the directing of the main story part, and then Kevin Feige and those guys take over after that. And then, like you said, the movie gets reshaped afterwards.
That's not exactly like the TV show, but he does a similar structure.
Right.
Like the director directs everything. Like on a TV show, the director directs everything. And then if something's not going well, the showrunner gets involved and takes over. But typically the director directs everything. With Feige's model, the director doesn't direct everything. The director just directs the actors when they're
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
That's
okay.
it. And then the other part too is when you're seeing a fight or combat scene, if it's not actually like a physical fight to shoot, it's done digitally. It's a computer animated model, previs, if anything. And that ends up being the case a lot, especially when you're dealing with something like the Marvels, where they're all energy glowing beings and they're flying around and stuff. Like, they're not on wires. They're not making those actors putting them on wires and doing stuff with them. They're, if anything, they're like standing in front of a green screen. They're doing a couple of motions or moving around, and then their legs are digitally removed and replaced with CG legs to show them flying and whatever. It's all done very simplistically on the filming side of things, and then with great deal of effort and resources made to look passable in the film. So with this here, we've got another situation where you have an inexperienced director that is there taking the opportunity they have to. It might be completely outside of their purview and skill set, but to be foolish not to do it, because that is a significant credit on their resume that will allow them to get other work, maybe even passion projects, but of a lower budget because they don't have to worry about it. So what we end up having here is a director that comes in, gets notes from the producers every day, multiple times a day, what they have to do, and they just say yes sir, whatever sir, and do that, and they have no actual creative input in the Marvels. And it's basically a formula that has been spreading wildly throughout throughout Disney primarily, where the producers who don't want to actually direct and who don't know how to direct and who don't know how to write are telling people that actually have more skill set in that department than they do what to do. And because they're young and green and desperate and hungry, they are happy to oblige because you can use that credit to get some more work somewhere else. And wow. This latest one is unfortunately a victim of that.
Wow. Well, the only thing I know about Nia DaCosta is that she directed that fucking Candyman reboot. What were you gonna say, Nick?
Well, I was gonna say script is really on the sign, because if you notice, there's a pattern with all these like really indie-based directors. It's not that getting one of them who only has a few movies to resume automatically makes them bad, because you could beat someone who only had 2 movies and they happen to be really, really good, and there's that big jump. It almost feels like they're getting all these people because they know that they can hire them for cheaper, and they're almost taking advantage of them because they know they don't have the work. So that way,
absolutely, Nick.
It's also the control aspect.
Yeah. And they know they will get less pushback than per se from a John Favreau, from a Joss Whedon or a James Gunn.
And this is where James Gunn's
haven't earned their own accolades and reputation, so that they are now subservient to the producer, because someone who's like, I don't need a Marvel movie to make my career, and who gets a Marvel movie is going to push back saying, no, I want to do this. If like Edgar Wright made his career before he got involved with Ant-Man, and Ant-Man was a passion project, but he was able to walk away from that because he didn't need Marvel if he wanted to make movies in the future. A lot of these younger directors, they need Marvel if they want to have a career later on, even though they'll probably never come back to direct a Marvel film after their initial one.
Yeah, and what you're seeing is
the creative differences that they're trying to avoid with the producers just saying, you need me more than I need you. You're just doing the job, and then once you're done, you're done, and I'm going to find someone else just like you next year for my next movie, because I'm the one that's in control here, not you.
Yeah, now here's the thing is, because the first 2 phases of Marvel had both the creative forces of Feige and who was it? Di Bonaventure? I can't remember. No, that's the guy who does.
So it was Feige, Ike Perlmutter,
Louis D'Esposito, or whatever his name is.
Well, he's still there.
Is he? Okay. So you had those guys, and then you had all the other people we've talked about before. Plus, you had the directors like John Favreau. And, what's his face who did Thor?
Stephen Broussard, David J. Grant,
Russo brothers,
and the Russo brothers, and now most of those people aren't even around. And I think you even brought this up, Script, when we were talking about James Gunn and his in some of the things he was saying, because when he had said something about like letting directors, have more of a voice, I think it was you that pointed out, is that a crack at Marvel and how they dictate things over there? And I think I agreed with you. That wasn't you that said that? Well, somebody did on the panel. And
I think it was Gunn who said that. But here's the thing.
Gunn said it.
Gunn said that.
Somebody on our panel had said that they thought that was a crack at Marvel.
I think it is. I don't know if I said it, but if you had to ask me, I think it was. Now
it might have been you.
And here's the thing, that even then, that's still a mixed bag of a statement, because there's nothing wrong, especially like I see these movies running this way, same way a comic book department runs comic books. You have to have an editor who's looking all over seeing all the comic books to make sure that things line up, to make sure everything's right. And especially if you're running a shared universe, there are some things a director is going to have to not do to line up for continuity purposes. But at the same time, I understand the director want to have a creative say, but I do feel like there still should be a limit, because you do want to make sure a story matters, and
well, sure, you don't want to wind up with a Snyderverse, right? Yes, you don't want to wind up with a Snyderverse, but you also don't want to wind up with
hired guns.
That too, you got to find that happy medium.
Yeah,
and what basically Gunn has to do if he wants DC to be successful in the way Marvel isn't right now, is he has to basically do what Pablo Hidalgo said he's supposed to be doing for Star Wars. And that is basically when he sits down with these directors, he's not supposed to tell them what they should do necessarily, but he should just be sitting there telling them whether or not, a dog can play basketball, not how. Yeah. You know what I mean? That whole saying he had. And that's where James has to come in and say, look, yeah, you can do this. We can't do this because we have plans for this character, but you can do something else. You know, not necessarily suggest something, but just say you can do something else, and then let that person come up with something else and still have the movie be in their image, but you know, still dictate it a little bit more as a steering the ship, not so much telling everybody how to do their job at the same time. You got to kind of do it like that, because that's kind of how the early Marvel movies were.
So give them the course and heading. And
yeah,
like, okay,
exactly.
now you're the captain. Just, you know, steer the ship, make sure it gets there, because there's certain things he's going to have to say. He's like, listen, there's a certain visual aesthetic we have to match in order to make things homogenized, but all you have to do is worry about these sets of things, and then you can go nuts and everything else. And that's probably the smartest tactic to do. Like costume wise, all right, your Batman costume, it can't be freaking Iron Man looking armor. It's got to be something that's very similar to Superman's costume, which we're doing over here. That's basically the only handcuffs I'm going to give you on that part. Go nuts with whatever type of story you do, that type of thing. But again, it's not that so much the director at that point. It's also like, who's the writer that's going to be writing the story, and that's going to be dictating more. And it's up to the director to find a creative way to execute that fits in line with the overall tone of what this new franchise will be. Marvel had that at the start until Disney got involved. And then it became very family friendly after that.
Well, let's get into this Disney being involved business, because here on Screen Geek, we got this rumor that says the Marvels has suffered a poor test screening. This might explain why the movie has been pushed back, because the first thing I thought of when I heard that it was being pushed back was I Smell reshoots. And that's what we got out of Ant-Man, and I'm surprised they managed to get that movie out on time. This one sounds like it might need some more work if this is the case. So let's go through this real quick. Marvel Cinematic Universe will soon be expanding into Phase 5. Well, it already has, technically. This includes a number of exciting films and television shows, one of which is the Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel sequel, The Marvels. The new film will unite the titular characters from each property alongside Monica Rambeau for an all-new adventure. Unfortunately, according to a new report, recent test screenings for The Marvels has not gone as planned. Uh-oh.
What a shame.
As reported by a giant freaking robot, the lack of promotion for The Marvels at Comic-Con is reportedly the result of Marvel Studios getting nervous after poor test screenings. Well, it could also be that the movie's been pushed back, but yes. While this should be taken with a massive grain of salt, it certainly isn't out of the realm of possibility, especially given the fan reception for Captain America wasn't the best. In fact, many of Marvel's recent projects have received lower audience receptions in the last few years, you think? This could simply be the latest project in their recent history to be treated the same. Of course, considering the test screenings are generally issued to fix these problems, it could be a good sign for the Marvels. It's possible with a good enough time, they'll be able to implement enough re-edits and reshoots to make the film more palatable for fans. With so many movies and shows okay, this is just a lot of their opinion shit at this point.
Yeah, they got 7 months to fix this movie.
Yeah. So let's go back to the original giant freaking robot and see if their original source is Grace Randolph, because that's who I believe you told me, Nick, where you heard it from.
I got the piece right here from Cosmic here. I'll pour it in the private chat.
Let's see who they say their source is.
What's interesting is some of the stuff that Grace says, and they're not things I would expect coming from her. Like, obviously, she's definitely she's her own bag of rocks. She's definitely her own form of nuts, but she does bring up a few things. I'm like, wow, she's saying that? I never thought I'd see.
Yeah, they don't have anything in here about who said it. So we technically have Grace Randolph, I guess, backing up this rumor of a test screening.
She actually called for the firing of the writers of the Kang Dynasty, and one of them is the guy who did Quantum Mania. And if you know, and that's another thing, you got all these people like from your new Midnight's Edge video, which all of you should watch if you haven't. They clearly, obviously, I think Feige is a Rick and Morty fan, and he's saying, "Oh, hey, look at this cartoon show on TV. They're cheap. I could just hire these rather than someone who did like some other big budget action movie. This will be a lot cheaper. Just get these cartoon show writers." And and they'll just do this movie because, once again, as script says, they know it's a big opportunity recognition. So I get it from the writers end or directors end to want to take that opportunity. And once again, because they're in that position that they want to have their name, they're going to say yes to basically anything just to have their name out there in hopes that they can get their foot in the door.
Well, deeper into the door. That's the thing, right?
Oh, that's true.
There's no guaranteed
you're right.
work in Hollywood.
No, you're right. You're right. Deeper into the door is correct.
So, Claudia, you've been the quietest on this. What's your reaction to this news, and what did you think of the original Captain Marvel?
Oh, I got it pretty way down there in my rankings as a piece of garbage.
I think I haven't heard you talk too much about it, so yeah.
Well, yeah, on my rankings of the Marvel movies, it's very low. It's garbage. This one will probably be the very first of these MCU/MCU films that even I'm not going to get dragged to this one. I'm not. It'll be the first one I don't go. Except, well, there were two during the coup that I was not able to go because of what was going on back then. But otherwise, I probably would have went. But this one, I'm anti-interested in it. I mean, it's like you said, smells like reshoots, and it's not going to do any good anyway. This was just, again, I got nothing.
Maybe they're reshooting the reshoots.
I was just going to say, I guess the bigger question is, are they reshoots because the movie's actually bad, or because it's like just Iger wants to put a stamp on it? Which is the bigger question here, but
I think because it's bad. These people are panicking. I think they panicked. If there were reshoots with Ant-Man, I think they always seem to panic at these movies because they don't know what they're doing.
I think another problem here you have is that nobody watched the Miss Marvel show.
No,
even Script Doctor gave it fairly good reviews, and it's still it's the least watched show of all of them.
Yeah.
Did you watch it, Tom? I didn't. I didn't
No. I watched a few minutes of the first episode, and I'm just like, yeah, this ain't for me.
That's the only one I didn't suffer. So I didn't put myself through. Just honestly have no interest in the characters.
You know what? There's only one of the Marvel shows. There's only one of the Marvel shows that I watched all the way through that I think about. I'm trying to think.
Lucky you.
I think it was the only one I watched all the way through was Hawkeye. Remember, right?
That was a tough.
So I
watch.
checked. I did not watch the Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh, that was the most disappointing of them all because it had good characters.
Yeah. I didn't finish WandaVision, and I only saw the first few episodes of what's the thing with Jason Isaac?
Oh, Moon Knight.
Moon Knight and Loki. I only watched the first episode and part of the last episode. And what was the other shows besides Hawkeye now?
What if?
She-Hulk, I only watched like 3 episodes. If that. I don't even think I finished the 3rd episode.
I watched everything but the Miss Marvel, and I did not finish What If because it just got so bad.
Oh, I didn't watch that at all. Yeah.
But I've suffered through all the other ones, and they're terrible.
Even though I didn't watch Miss Marvel at all, I am aware of, let's just say, and this is figurative here, the 5 people who watched it, they did seem to like it. So it seemed like it's kind of like, it seems to have that reception the way Andor did, where not many people watched it, but the few who did watch it seemed to like it. So I'll give it credit there, but I was just generally not interested in that. And Moon Knight, I couldn't even finish that. It didn't help too, especially as someone who's read like the Doug Mensch run, Warren Ellis. I look at them like, this is not Mark Spector. This is not Stephen Grant. Like, it was just an atrocity. And the worst part about it too is, like, at least with a lot of the shows and movies where they're making the legacy character the supporting character in his own movies after X amount of sequels. This was Moon Knight's first time in one of these things, and right off the bat, he was sidelined. His debut in like live action format.
It got
the first time ever, and he got, you're like, wow. And I feel like that's an even bigger slap in the face because the character never had a chance to learn to ride a bike.
Terrible show.
All
of them are really. All of them are terrible.
And I haven't seen that Werewolf by Night. I've heard that's good.
Yeah, I did
see the Guardians one was really good. Yeah,
those are the only
like
things,
that.
The only halfway decent things done by Disney Plus.
Yeah, and in that sense, I think it's probably because I can't remember who was behind Werewolf by Night, but
Michael Giacchino.
Yeah, Michael Giacchino or whatever. Is that how you say it? Giacchino or Giacchino?
I looked it up. It was Giacchino.
Script. What'd you say? Sorry.
I've heard both.
Yeah, usually known for music, but yeah.
Usually when I see the Italian, I add the chi. to it. That's just me.
Oh, of course.
If it's 2 C's. Yeah.
Diacano. But yeah, there you go. Hey, Rose.
And I see we have some celebrity guests in the chat. We have Drunk 3PO and Yellow Flash. How you boys doing?
Hey.
Hanging out with them Saturday. That was a lot of fun.
Great fellows. Drunk 3PO.
Yeah, so I'm not surprised by this. I'm not looking forward to Captain Marvel. It's kind of funny. More or less, we're laughing at it more than anything, I guess.
But
I'd be looking forward to the Marvels if they did Monica Rambeau's introduction properly, where she was this sexy Coast Guard who wore like a red bikini to get on an oil rig, and then her powers
but manifest. That's patriarchy.
And
it was her introduction was horribly handled. It was really bad.
We got 2 of them here from Warrior Justice. He just sent this one in with $2. Says Captain Marvel 2, there are not 2 genders. And then he said with his first one for 5, thank you so much, Warrior Justice. Says my review. Marvels can't hear them over the sound of them not doing the dishes. Love you, Bad Tom. Tom Clobber. Lane Clobber. I think he means Clobber in Times. 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser and Script 007. Or wait, no, he's got special names for you here. Clobber Lane Clobby. Clubber Lane Clobby, like Rocky. There you go. And then 32 Flavor Nick and then Script 007. Thank you so much for that, Warrior Justice. We appreciate that. So yeah, let's bring up this Ant-Man writer thing we talked about. Because this is kind of funny. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumanium writer surprised by terrible reviews. I was in a low spot and really sad about it.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
Well, we gotta...
Or if you are a man, or whatever you are, sorry. It's your fault. What a shame.
Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumanium screenwriter Jeff Loveness was tasked to create the most ambitious Ant-Man movie yet, and introducing the MCU's new Thanos-sized villain, Kang the Conqueror. So you're kind of right with that, Clobby, I guess. The results have been somewhat disastrous. Not only is Quantumania one of the worst reviewed Marvel films in history, it's 48% on Rotten Tomatoes, nearly matches the Eternals' record low score of 47. But the film dropped 69% at the box office in its second straight. No, it was 70 fucking percent. You guys are really giving them that extra percent, aren't you?
Oh,
like they are really doing it hard.
69.74%.
Yeah, it's like, come on, dude. That's not how math fucking works.
That's not how averages work.
Exactly. Marketing the second biggest MCU drop in the MCU history. To be honest, those reviews took me by surprise. Loveness recently told the Daily Beast about the extreme critical bashing. We usually pay them a lot of money to give us good reviews. And this time sorry, that's not what I said. That's not what he was saying. I was in a pretty low spot. Those were not good reviews. And I was like, what the? I'm really proud of what I wrote for Jonathan Majors and Michelle Pfeiffer, Janet Pym. Loveness added. I thought that was good stuff, and so I was just despondent, and I really was sad about it. Loveness got in this. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, it just feels like everyone just forgot about Paul Rudd's Scott Lang character, and I honestly that really bugs me because it was just like I want to get in just so I can write those characters, but Ant-Man's name is what draws in the box office, so we have to at least use his name. Oh, I hate that, and it's become so commonplace nowadays. Like, if you really want to write something on those characters, commit to it. Like, just let people know it's about that instead of the bait and switch. Like, it makes me almost glad. Like, the reason I didn't end up singing is because I had a misbehaving child. But man, I almost feel like I should be thanking my misbehaving child.
Yeah, you should. I saw
it. I almost feel like I should be thanking her now.
Yeah. Be thankful you didn't sit through that.
Yeah, because then you would have felt like you're the one getting punished instead of her.
True.
I felt that. I'm sorry the guy's depressed. Nobody wants their movie to be disliked, but
no,
it can't help you, pal.
But look, Script will be the first to tell you. You can think you have probably the greatest story in the world, and then you turn around and realize that it just isn't. It's not. and same can be said for something that you think is horrible, but then it turns around and you've got gold. And you don't realize it.
Plus, it's going through a corporate meat grinder. No telling what ends up on the screen.
Well, and that's the other end of it too.
So long as if this writer doesn't actually lash out at anyone criticizing him, so far he hasn't. I say that's a good sign right now.
Yeah,
with regards, because I would be in the exact same position if I wrote something that was awesome. I'm like, oh, and the reviews aren't good and people aren't liking it. Damn, I disappointed them. I'm so sorry.
Right.
I thought I was doing something that you guys would like, and clearly that didn't register. And I'd be like, I apologize. I wish that you guys like this. I thought you guys would.
Basically the Schumacher move.
Case in point, Schumacher. There you go. I was going to say that.
Yeah, but Schumacher was said, I was doing this also because Warner Brothers told me this is how I had to do it.
Right.
But he's like, I should have.
But he still took all the blame for it.
Back. And
he did take responsibilities. Hey, sorry if I disappointed
you. Know what? We respect him for it. I don't know a single person who has not heard him, his apology, which is on the Blu-ray and DVD of the movie in the special features.
Right.
He says it right in there. He apologizes to the fans. He's like, if you didn't like the movie, I am sorry. I thought at the time we were doing what was right. The studio, wanted this. And and he, like Script said, he's like, I really do apologize. I wished I'd have got that 5th movie to make it up to you guys. Because he goes, I really feel like you guys would have enjoyed it. And he goes, I kind of was going to go along the lines they did anyway. So I think he's implying that that we probably would have, but because he was going to go back to a year one kind of story. But no, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
But I get exactly where he's coming from, and I would have loved to have seen his 5th film just to see what he would have done, just to give him a shot at it. But because I didn't hate Batman Forever, I enjoy it quite a bit, and I've come to.
Quite relevant, really relevant to today, actually, with data theft and the exploitation of people.
I was going to say, actually, it's kind of aged better than the first 2 movies, if you think about it.
It has. Dude, well, what's good about that movie, and it touched into Bruce Wayne's trauma. If you actually think, they actually really dialed in on a lot, how that really hurt him on a personal level. They really touched on
they
that.
Not just
closure
that,
too. They gave him a lot more closure as well, because he's comfortable with this life now.
Dude, and they actually had despite the nipples, which should have never been a thing, it was nice to actually to see Riddler and Two-Face have actual villain suits and feel. I was just
the Two-Face characterization was a shame, though. It was just the Joker.
He
was trying to be Jokerish, yeah.
It was. Oh, absolutely was. I liked how he looked, though. I get what you're saying, Clubby, and I do agree.
Was good, yeah.
I really enjoyed how he looked.
Well,
yeah, I agree.
I will say that there's part of me that always felt like Carrie was just basically doing Frank Gorshin on crack. Because you got to remember, he probably grew up with that version of the Riddler. So.
And I heard he was mean to Gorshin on the set, by the way, which is terrible.
What was that? Sorry, Clubby.
I heard he was disrespectful to Gorshin when he visited the set. If that's true, he can go screw. I don't know.
I have no idea on that. It's hard to say. I've heard both good and bad stories about Jim Carrey. He seems like a very bipolar individual.
Right.
Yes.
Don't diss Frank, man. He was the
Frank was a brilliant stand-up too. Have you heard some of his stuff?
Oh God, he was a genius. It was a comedic genius. It was fantastic.
Being that I think that he, as much influence as he clearly had on his role, I can't believe that he would have. But then again, knowing Jim Carrey,
I wasn't there.
He might, being young and stupid as he was at that time, you have no idea. He could have tried to say something or do something that he thought was funny, and it came off dumb. But in the last few years, he's gone crazy. Oh wow!
I don't know if that's true or not. Like I said, I'm not the big rumor guy.
I didn't even know he actually visited the set. That's news to me.
I remember hearing that way back then when the movie came out. Like I said, great assault. But
no, I know Bob Kane and his wife was always in the movies and on the set. But,
God,
Well, Bob Kane was on the set a lot. His wife was in 2 of the movies. She was Gossip.
Yeah, but he was, I think, in the background of the first one though, wasn't he?
Yes, he was the artist.
Yeah,
he
signed it, but I swear he's in another scene.
But it wasn't the actor. Right?
I thought he was one of the reporters or something like that in the one part, but I could be wrong. You're probably right, Script. You've seen it more times than I probably have.
Just his lousy art appeared in it. Well, he took credit for whoever drew that thing. That was
he just signed that
I know.
Drawing.
That I know. I'm not talking about that, but I thought he had a cameo in the first movie because I know she plays that specific character. In
Gossip Gertie in Forever.
Gossip Gertie, thank you.
Batman and Robin.
Yes.
Yeah.
If he is in the first one, I've never seen a shot of it.
It's just his
You're
art.
probably right.
Just his signature.
But I've seen plenty of shit with him on the set, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I could have swore he was dressed up like in one shot where he's like in a long trench coat and a hat, and I could have swore he was in like one of the background.
That's possible.
Scenes.
Well, like when he visited Batman Returns, he was wearing his like classic white trench coat thing. But those are all behind the
Maybe
scenes
that's stuff he wears. So I don't know.
Movie.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. You're probably right. Anyway, so let's go on with this here. He goes, I'm really proud of what I wrote for Jonathan. We read that already. Loveness is gotten better spirits after he decided to attend a public screening at Quantumania after the negative reviews came out. Screenwriter listened to his audience members, laughed at many of the jokes he added to the script. I'm like,
okay.
That's the thing that really gives me pause though. Added. Like they weren't there originally.
They weren't. We all know that.
Okay. I know. So he actually worked on the rewrite too, is what I'm getting at. I'm like, goddamn, no, the reviews are wrong. I'm right. MODOK is great. No, you're wrong. MODOK sucks ass.
He sucks.
He said of watching the film opening weekend. Did you see this shit again? This is Disney not getting the meme. Did you see the bunch of the MODOK memes in the last week or so here? And I think even Disney has you can put your own face on MODOK thing, and people. They just don't even get the meme. I think that's what it is, unless somebody else made one that's not associated with Disney. But it's like I've been seeing everybody being turned into MODOK in the last week, and again, I'm like, you guys really don't get the meme, do you?
They don't. But you're asking for Hollywood to actually understand jokes, and that for them to do it means to step outside their bubble.
Well, I wanted to see how long it would take for me to stop feeling sorry for him. Because, I feel empathy for a guy that we were talking about earlier, how it's a shame, you had something you made. But let's see if he starts talking me out of it. He already is.
Yeah.
He's already talking me out of caring about him.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'm sure it's some TikTok thing or something I'm talking about, but I have no idea how to get to it. I don't social media very well. Because I'm pretty now happy with it overall. I learned how to take a punch this week, and now that I learned that it's not too bad, I just get on with making things. Quantumania, Mark Loveness's Marvel Cinematic debut. He got his start in Hollywood as a writer for Jimmy Kimmel and on Rick and Morty. Of course, you can check into Andre's video about more into that business. So yeah, again, more of Feige's Feige and or Alonso's obsession with hiring people from Rick and Morty for some fucking reason.
That's more Feige.
So cheaper,
I'd imagine.
It's just like the whole thing with the directors. It's just like, okay, hire this director who's got these action movie experiences, or look at this cable network cartoon show. I'm going to go with that one.
Hire this director with real experience and then have a fight with him every day about getting my vision on screen, or hire someone with no experience who'll do what I say. And then it goes to hire a screenwriter with experience who's going to fight with me trying to not get my vision on screen, or hire someone off of Rick and Morty who can tell jokes and do exactly what I say.
Now I know why you guys are all depressed and moody all the time. David Deacon Little says, basically, I believe we are entering the fatigue period. The writing is getting lazy. Its effects of being on top for a long time. The fatigue is real. I'm kind of gonna side with script a little bit on this, or at least I don't know if this is what he's getting at. But look, this writer is just doing what he was fucking told to do.
Yeah.
And at this point, you know what? I think it's going to get to a point where these writers and directors are going to get to the same place a lot of these special effects people are, where they're just going to be like, you know what? This shit ain't worth it no more. Because they're going to get a lot of these writers who are signing up for these gigs thinking, oh, if I write a Marvel movie, then I'm almost guaranteed to get my next script or two financed probably, or bought, or whatever. And they're going to start to learn, when you get these movies that crash and burn like this, nobody's going to want to touch you with a 10-foot fucking pole. What's the Eternals director up to? I haven't heard from her since the Eternals.
I don't know.
Saving lives.
Oh man,
this is going to start to damage these people's careers. So I can see this becoming a problem after a while, because you're right, you're just basically doing, handed to you homework.
Work for hire, and you're following someone else's choices and mandates, and you have to make it work. And the other part too is that they're not experienced enough to make it work and still satisfy the key points that are required to make something entertaining, which is have really good character, really compelling stories, catchy dialogue, and a very cohesive, simple plot. And Ant-Man didn't have that the way it did. I mean, it literally, the movies did stop to actually tell a joke or a gimmick and then move on. And it's jarring to an audience because if you do your job well and you get them invested and engaged in the content, the moment you shift tone, they then lose that connection. And they have to get back all over again. So you either have to start it off with it very strong, which Ant-Man tried to do with the reshoots and the voiceover with Scott Lang and his book and all that stuff, but it just didn't resonate there because that was the tone it started with. Then it went serious, and then it would thread in those jokes and the blatant Rick and Morty visualizations, especially at that bar. Like, that is out of Rick and Morty. That is not out of something Marvel. And it just doesn't line up. So there is always the possibility that Marvel might get lucky and they'll grab a writer that is got fewer credits and is just on the up and up, but who does exactly what Feige needs him to do. Yet the movie turns out to be fantastic because the writer creatively found ways to reconcile those points into something entertaining overall. It's always a possibility. It's 1 in 100 chance, pretty much. And there are that many writers out there that might be able to do that.
Right. And the answer is not a goddamn thing, has Chloe Zhao.
Okay.
Nothing.
Right. Yeah.
She did one short in the last 2 years. That's all she's done. That's all she's got on her list.
I just saved a lot of lives though.
Chloe Zhao has done less work than even Cyborg has.
Like, she has nothing in pre-production, nothing coming up at all here. Like, yeah.
Which is unfortunate because she has an Oscar for, I think, an indie film.
She does. Yeah. That was something RMD
No Man Land or whatever it was. Yeah, she just won the Oscar and then she did Eternals, and now she hasn't done shit since then.
Well, she's probably working on some sort of low budget secret project, because that's all she could probably do.
But that just goes to my point, is that I think the Eternals damaged her career, because if it wasn't for that, she probably would still be directing. She would have moved on to another indie style project, kept moving up and up and up the ranks. Instead, now she went and jumped to this.
She got elevated beyond her skill set.
Right.
And I think she probably went to studios looking for movies that were probably $100 million budget and more, and got knocked down because they saw the writing on the wall, which is, oh, you already did the Eternals. That was over $100+ million budget and didn't make any money back. Why would we do that? So she would have to go down to the next tier, which would be, your more modest budget, your $10 to $50 million films. But those things don't get a lot of traction, but they only usually get announced or put on your resume when they've already started shooting. So we don't know what's going on with her. I hope she gets a better shot to actually build up a proper career and not be destroyed by this. But it's going to be very hard, and we're probably not going to see much from her for a while. And the other part too is, anything that she does make, we're not going to hear about unless we go actively out to search for it. Because again, she's never going to get the advertising metric that she got for Eternals that she will for anything she does that's not associated with Disney or Marvel.
But that's what I was saying as going, referring to this writer and, this whole thing is like, sooner or later, I think a lot of these writers and directors are going to have to start looking at, like, is it really worth me, possibly, ruining my career over.
Well, I mean, it's going to be very hard for a one and done, because the trick to succeeding in Hollywood is you never give up.
Right.
And you can take a look at someone like, say, Chris McQuarrie, who he did Usual Suspects. And then for a decade, he was kind of persona non grata in Hollywood until he kind of did Valkyrie. And then he kind of hooked up with Tom Cruise from there, and then did Mission Impossible. And now he's one of the more sought after director writers in the industry. It took him a while to get there, but he didn't give up. And the other part too is, like, we're actually really grateful for him because he has learned a lot of lessons in that, period where he wasn't hireable. And now he's turned himself around. Now everyone can do that. You just have to put in the effort. Like with this Jeff Loveless guy, the fact that in that article he did not do anything to say mistreat or accost fans who are critical of his work, that's we should take that as a win just on his personality.
And that's kind of where I'm coming from on the side of like, at this point, I'm starting to worry about the people that are getting involved with these things. And that's where I was getting to that point, is because yes, you may not kill their career overall, and it's just going to definitely set them back or make it even harder for them to
it'll be a little bit of a restrictive part. But here's the other part too, is so long as you're able to make yourself valuable, if you can make a low budget film that does well, you're still in the game. Like Josh Trank got elevated from Chronicle to Fantastic Four and botched that up, and it took him years before he did Capone.
Right.
And Capone was actually well regarded and received, so he's back to where he was in Chronicle, but he's never going to get to Fantastic Four again, not unless he demonstrates some severe discipline and a consistent pattern of getting the job done and doing it professionally.
So, Josh Trank is back? I didn't realize that.
He did a movie, but I don't know if he's done much since then. But yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, he's sticking to the independent side of things right now. Okay. He's got a movie about Theodore Roosevelt, I think, in development. That he's working on after he's done Capone, but he's taking his time. And that's a good sign to have.
If Fan Forstick can't kill your career,
it did for almost a decade, though.
Yeah, I guess.
Heard him for a good 6 years, I think, right?
Yeah, damn near.
Wow.
But he also had to go to rehab and clean himself up. So
well, fair call.
Satan's Testicle says the incompetent Alex Kurtzman says, I wonder how the convo went with Bob and Kevin yesterday. I'm sure it was not very comfortable. Here's the thing, though. I'm sure yesterday was probably rough, but they had bigger fish to fry yesterday. They already knew going into this thing that this was going to be a problem. They kind of, I think, reinforced themselves for it. And this is part of the reason why I think they're backing off on a lot of the advertising for some of the other stuff, is they don't have the money. I'm not 100% sure on that. So but we'll have to wait and see how this rolls out. I think we've heard a lot of weird rumors about Kevin moving out of his position into a different one and all this other stuff. I don't know if there's any validity to that, but we've hit that point where when people have asked us time and time again, when do we get to a point where people start asking questions or Kevin's, kind of on the spigot or however you want to put it? I think we're getting there. I mean, he's still a very powerful individual. I'm still sure he didn't get a dressing down or anything like that necessarily.
I don't think he got a dressing down. I think he's like, what's going on in the public? And it's like, well, our data says this, and that's what we did, and it seems not to be working. So maybe our data's wrong. The other part too is that even if Kevin's gone and Victoria gets, the main position,
right?
Even if she botches it just as bad or worse than Kevin, if she gets out, you still have 4 more producers that are the founding members of Marvel that have been there since the beginning, and they're the ones that have not at all pushed back on any of this agenda stuff. Right. So you mentioned earlier Tom Luis D'Esposito. Yeah. He's been there since the beginning. He hasn't pushed back. He's got as much power as Victoria Alonso does because he started the same day they were there.
Yep, that's true.
Mitchell Bell, who's been there as well. Why hasn't he said anything with regards to this? Because he's bought into the same rhetoric. Same with Stephen Broussard and David J. Grant.
Either that's true or
hearing about them, because again, there's only 6 people that are involved in every single Marvel property, like feature film, MCU stuff, and we just named them all: Kevin Feige, Victoria, Lewis, Mitchell, Stephen, and David. They've been there from the beginning. Even though there's a hierarchy of power to a degree, any one of them could have walked away like Peter Billingsley did after Favreau left, and even Alan Fine, who did most of the TV stuff and then started with Ant-Man and then said, to heck with that, I'm out of here. Even have Henning Molfner, who was just in there for Captain America Civil War and was like, I don't like where the direction of the series is going. I'm gone. So there's people that have been involved and then left, yet the ones that remained who started there from the beginning, there's no infighting. They're all on board with the ideology and they're pushing it forward. So it doesn't matter if you get rid of Feige or Victoria, you still got 4 other people in there that are like, who've been there from the beginning, who are doing the same thing. Right. That who are fully supportive of that. And because we're not hearing anything about them, it is something to be concerned with, because before we haven't heard about Victoria Alonso until, she got promoted like 4 years ago. No one was talking about her then. Everybody was talking about Kevin Feige and how he was the most successful thing to happen to Marvel, except he was just one of a huge team, because the truth of Hollywood is that it's a collaborative industry. Nobody does anything on their own.
Yeah. Script that kind of makes me think about when we were looking at the article on Variety about Jeff Loveness. Let's just say maybe I feel like, maybe somewhere in there is maybe a talented writer, but the problem is he's not around anyone who's going to give him any critique, because everyone is just a yes man there. No one wants to have any pushback. They just want to put it out just to put it out.
It might not even be a yes man thing. It might just be it's one sided in the sense that they tell him what to write, he does it, and they say that's good, thank you. And there's no one there else to be like, you could probably do better. Like, you're in the right area, but this needs to hit more. It's probably like, again, a writer doesn't write, rewrite or do anything unless told to when it's an assignment project.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they're writing it in, they turn it in and they're like, okay, I think this is great. And then the producer says, yep, this is everything I wanted. Thank you so long. And they never hear from them again. That's it. That's the job done. And you're stuck there. And if 3 or 4 weeks pass and you're as a writer, and this happens to me many times, where you realize, oh, I could have written this scene better. I've got this better stuff. You can write it down and you can send it to the producer. But if they don't respond to it, they're stuck in with the original thing because that's what they want to do. It's a lot different than just writing up your original script and pitching it out there and having producers say, well, it's good, but maybe you can fix the third act here, or maybe you can fix something with this character, because that's helping you become a better writer, because you're able to work with the team with a producer's interest in what they can, appreciate and what they criticize. But on an assignment gig, you don't get that unless you fail completely to deliver what the assignment details. And in the Marvel situation, they give you so much information beforehand that it's literally like a paint by numbers for screenwriting.
Welcome, Valiant Renegade. How are you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hello. Nice to see you.
Speaking of Victoria Alonso, you had a conversation with WDW Pro and Lorena about Victoria in a video I saw earlier.
Yeah, and I mean, to Scrip's point, everything he was just talking about is totally right. I think, look, the quote unquote woke stuff there is layers deep, and no, I agree. I mean, just if Victoria Alonso were to leave tomorrow, is that going to solve all the problems at Marvel? No, of course not. But yeah, the conversation that I had with Pro and Lorena, we recorded that last night. That came from a source that is known to us, and when I had the conversation with Pro, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, we know who she is. That's a name that's been around for a while. And I thought, well, maybe it's a good opportunity to have a conversation. Maybe there's a lot of people out there that don't really understand. It's not all just Feige and some of the history of how Alonso came about. We talked about that. It's like, look, remember, guys, I mean, she stepped up to the plate. She took over the president of production or whatever it was. She had post-production, and they put her in charge of production.
She was the one I kept telling people before she was a household name, that she was the one going around the office saying, we can't use the term X-Men anymore. It has to be mutants.
Yeah.
Because X-Men is too exclusive.
Yeah, you've been saying that. I just thought it was interesting to have the conversation and just remind folks that, she stepped up to the big chair under Feige at the same time that Ike Perlmutter got run off in 2015. And that's when, and that wasn't a coincidence. I think she had a lot to do with that. I mean, Ike Perlmutter,
she's the only woman of the founding members of Marvel to say, wait, you don't want to put a woman character as the main character? Like, she had some good leverage there to facilitate what Feige needed.
Yeah. She must have some power, because she went out there and blasted her fucking boss on video. Yeah. And didn't get nothing happen to her.
Well, that's after 5 years of getting into a more permanent role in Marvel. But again, she's been there from the very beginning.
Yeah. Oh, she's been there a long time.
Yeah. She's been there from the very beginning, the very start of it. I named earlier before you got here the 6 producers that have been with every single MCU property to date since Iron Man up to now, including the Disney Plus shows. And yeah, they're the ones that listen. There's plenty of reason and data points for any of those other producers, aside from Victoria and Feige, to push back and say, hey, we're clearly not performing the way we did, 6 years ago. Let's change it. But they haven't. We've heard nothing out of them publicly. And we've heard no infighting among them either. And you'd think there should be, given how much money is being lost. But because we're not, they're all on board, which means that you've got a very strong core of producers like that control the MCU, basically completely in sync with what they want to do with these films and shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And they've turned it to poop, much like this pooper sticker that Mr. Buttcrack Media sent me here. Thank you so much, Mr. Buttcrack Media. He also gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. That is very generous of you. Mecha J says, Feige is becoming more incompetent with how he's handling or how he handled Phase 4 and now the beginning of Phase 5. Yeah, this has been slowly taking over the last couple of years here, and I don't think it's going anywhere. I think Script's right. I think it's deep-rooted. Jack White says, Tom, I just sent you an email with a link to an announcement article for some stuff coming to theaters worth going to watch. I can only imagine what
it's probably
anime films Jack has in mind for us here. Let's take a look. We've got, let's see here. I'm not seeing a new one since yesterday, my friend. I got the one about the AI art here. Let me check my spam. Not seeing anything in there either. Sorry. I'll check back again here in a few minutes. Maybe it's just taking its sweet time coming through. It's been acting up like that lately, though. So, but thank you for that, Jack. I'll check back in a minute. But yeah, the other thing we had on the docket today was this Lord of the Rings article that comes from Hollywood Reporter. I found it a little interesting. In a sea of articles and takes that usually are very anti-Zaslav and anti-Warner Brothers, this one does bring up some valid points. Says, when Amazon debuted its highly anticipated, most expensive TV series ever made, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, last fall, the company had to contend with the bothersome rival from Warner Brothers Discovery, the Game of Thrones prequel House of Dragon. Warner Brothers picked a debut date for its prestige TV drama 12 days before Amazon's $1 billion gamble launched, ensuring non-stop media and fandom comparisons, many of which were less favorable to the family-friendly Rings. For Amazon, the head-to-head rivalry was all the more galling because Warner's is a minority licensee stakeholder in Rings, so they're ostensibly supposed to be on the same side. Team Rings' public spin concerning the matchup went like this. None of this matters because these shows are totally different. All of which made the February 23rd announcement by Warner's most Westeros level brutal. Now the studio going to make the Lord of the Rings content too. As Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav declared in company's earnings call, Warner Brothers New Line Cinema made a multi-year deal with Embracer Group to make new Lord of the Rings movies. The reveal comes at a precarious time for Warner Brothers, with the studio admitting a $2.1 billion loss in Q4. Like many studios, the company seems to be circling its wagons even tighter around familiar IP, focusing on surefire brands like DC, though there are no scripts yet. One insider suggests to Hollywood Reporter that Warner Brothers hopes to turn Lord of the Rings into a Star Wars-like franchise. The move comes 2 decades after Peter Jackson's hugely popular The Lord of the Rings saga, which won 17 Oscars. Now Jackson and his writing partners Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens are the precious talent Warner hopes to get on board with its effort for Amazon, seemingly fumbling its courtship of the filmmaker. Jackson told THR that Amazon had reached out to him about his series, but then after the company's executive shakeup, he was never sent any scripts. Sources say Jackson and Walsh were very frustrated that so many believe they were involved with Amazon's show and are now engaging with Warner Brothers and New Line, curious as to how they'll be stewards of J.R.R. Tolkien's legacy. The deal making was sparked by Embracer taking over Middle-earth Enterprises from the Saul Zaentz company last fall, which gave the Swedish game company the adaptation rights to the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit books. The takeover stemmed from a lawsuit between Zaentz and Warner Brothers over whether the studio was fulfilling its development obligations to hold on to the license. Warner had put into production an animated title, The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, to try to meet its fulfillment, which Zaentz deemed insufficient. But I don't think the courts did. At any rate, Embracer has now taken over Zaentz's position, if my memory serves, and settled with the studio. Behind the scenes, Warner's film division is run by Pam Abdy and Mike DeLuca, has been striving to keep Amazon from blurring the lines too much between the Lord of the Rings franchise and the TV series. While the streamers took steps such as hiring the movie's composer and Howard Shore to score the main title theme. Which leaves a key question moving forward: is Middle-earth big enough for the ambitions of Warner's and Amazon? Studio insiders suggest Warner's focus on Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, and its recent signing of Akiva Goldsman and M. Night Shyamalan smack of nostalgia for early 2000s. Well, those last two things do not fill me with much confidence. It's a sign of desperation. They want to make it seem like they are a studio of old, one insider scoffs. The Hobbit didn't leave people wanting more. Amazon has publicly made a 50-hour commitment to Rings of Power and is now filming a second season. According to newly released performance data, Amazon contends the debut season is the streamer's all-time most watched series. The Rings has been seen in part by at least 100 million people. In part, I love that part.
Yeah.
And that it drove more Prime Video signups than the company's 4 next biggest original combined. Yet the show struggled for widespread fandom acceptance. In its mixed to positive reviews, suggested there was room for improvement. Showrunners Patrick McKay and J.D. Payne have acknowledged the ambitious show's startup stumbles and have pledged bigger and better season 2. Observers say if Amazon is so bullish on Tolkien, it's curious the company didn't snatch up the Zaentz rights themselves to avoid this and establish true Tolkien dominance. Sale closed just before the show launched. Some wonder if the studio will continue marching forward with its 5-season plan if the show's public perception doesn't notably improve. I don't know if they have a choice, do they?
Well, I was going to say the problem with that last paragraph is why didn't Amazon snap up all the rights? Would it have mattered? I mean, generally the way contract law is written is that even if Amazon were to go in and purchase everything from Saul Zaentz, the contracts that were already in force would be enforceable all the way up through and including its successors and its assigns, legal terminology, meaning that even if Amazon had bought it, they'd still have to honor the contract with Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers would still have what they have. So it doesn't
Which is what we heard at
difference.
the time, which is why they had no interest in it.
Right.
And this is why they had to settle out of court, because clearly the Saul Zaentz company, which we've learned had a horrible history with keeping track of who had what rights and going to court over them. And in fact, had really fucked up the rights to The Hobbit to the point where they were in and out of court for years over that shit. Basically, from my understanding, like they said, they had to settle, which means they learned in court that chances of them winning this case was next to none. So they settled with Warner Brothers, which means, like Valiant just said, regardless, Warner Brothers had the rights for probably the next 10 years, which is usually how long these things last for. So at this point, of course, Embracer Group's going to make a deal with them. I don't know all the ins and outs, but I'd have to go deeper and dig into it. And Six has put together a bunch of stuff for us to get into for an upcoming video. So keep in mind, this is stuff that we're definitely going to get into more about. But there was more to this. I don't know where it went. Unless this wasn't the original article I wanted. Because there was more to this. Where did it go? Because they had talked about how basically, the problem. Yeah, because I don't know if it was an extension of this article or a different one and I grabbed the wrong one. But in the other one they were talking about, and this was the point that was made that was really poignant, was how basically Amazon was trying to milk what little they had, which we pointed out time and time again. But it also asked the important question is, what is Warner Brothers really going to be able to do with this property now that the 3 biggest stories have been told in it, plus the other story, The Hobbit? So, and chances are with, the history of the films, they're going to want to attach whatever they're doing to those films. They're not going to remake these things.
No.
Right? Obviously.
No.
It makes no sense to. And so at that point, it's like, okay, so what avenues do they have to really work with here? Obviously, the War of Rohirrim gives us an idea. There's clearly battles and other events that happen around, in, during, and before and after the Lord of the Rings that probably we can explore, or even go into the future, let's say, from Lord of the Rings. If they really wanted to. So Script Doctor, if you're given the opportunity to pitch to the studio what your idea is to take over, let's say you're given the reins to work with Peter Jackson, what would you suggest to him that you would do as a strategy for Warner Brothers at this point? It sounds like they're obviously doing movies, but would you do more than films, or would you do shows and stuff like that too?
I'd probably stick with films just to humiliate Amazon more.
Amen.
Yeah, because I didn't hear much about series, but I could see them doing some kind of series with it. But no, they clearly want to make some films out of this. I'm sure they see the benefit of having Peter Jackson involved. The fan response clearly is one thing, but just in general. So yeah, I don't see it as a lose proposition for Warner Brothers, but I see it as kind of an uphill battle as far as figuring out what to do to get fans involved. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they come up with.
I mean, having Peter Jackson on board is a great first step. Let's be honest. I mean, just from a marketing perspective, and they released that the same time we were covering that earnings call for Warner Brothers is when Peter Jackson released that statement to
Well, I wish I had that other article too, because it also said something about Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca being very protective over the rings through the whole Amazon thing, which kind of confirms some of the shit I had heard about some of the stuff that was going on there. But
yeah, I don't know how much of a competition there would really be, to Scrip's point. I mean,
no, there's not going to be, but they're definitely trying to. Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying is that if they come back and they say Peter Jackson brings back Lord of the Rings to the big screen, that's it. Amazon stuff is going to be second fiddle, bar none. I mean, it's not even going to be a contest.
Well,
in terms of perception.
Well, they can even re-release the movies in huge versions, because we've even heard from Robert Meyer Burnett that there's a bunch of stuff that was still shot that wasn't even added to the extended cuts yet. Like, he was implying there could be at least another hour or better of each movie footage left over yet that they could add to it. Well, he's like, they shot everything.
Well, I had thrown kind of like a just from the outfield, just random idea. I'm like, look, think if they made like an Aragorn origin story, young Aragorn, and they could still bring in Viggo Mortensen to play. They could bring back Viggo Mortensen and Liv Tyler to play the older versions of themselves, even though Liv Tyler's character doesn't really age. And then you have a flat, you kind of go back to memories of when he's younger, cast a younger actor. I was like, people think, if they recast these roles, what would that look like? Well, there's ways to do it if they really wanted to go that route, is me spitballing. But I think there's a lot of content there. Script can speak to it better than I can, but I think there's a lot of content there that they could dive into and come up with something clever.
Yeah, it's got lots of potential. The thing is, like, where do you want to start and what do you want to do? It all comes down to, like, that's going to be one of Warner Brothers' big assignment jobs coming up.
Oh yeah, is
like, what do you want to do with Lord of the Rings? Like, we've got it. We have the rights to these appendices, these Silmarillion. Come give us your pitch, and then whatever they think works best, that's what they'll most likely do.
There you go. Anybody else got anything to say about Lord of the Rings before we move on?
I like Lord of the Rings.
You like?
There you go.
I like Lord of the Rings. I want more. If it's good, if it doesn't suck. Yeah,
I want more Lord of the Rings. Make good movies.
Yeah, you're talking about, squeezing every drop of, out of what Amazon paid for. That's a lot of milk for $250 million, and they ain't going to get that back. So
yeah, no. And that's the beauty of it, is all they've got to do is announce, like, Andy Serkis is coming back to play, like, in a Gollum prequel or something like that, and
he was in an interview talking about how he wouldn't mind coming back as Snoke. He loved the character, and then couldn't believe that he got knifed 50 pages into the script, and he was so upset. I'm like, come on back, play some Gollum, man. Come on.
See, because that's where I'm wondering if JJ had intended him to actually be Plagueis reborn, a clone.
All the jokes we make about JJ, he probably had a better plan than what Ryan Johnson
did, and that's what I've been saying all this time. Even though, regardless of the stupid shit we got in the last film, again, I think a lot of that was just a big fuck you to.
Oh,
to Rian Johnson.
That whole film was a middle finger.
Yeah, it was. It was the world's most expensive Twitter war. I stand by that.
That was no. You're right. That's the part about JJ I hate. It's like he obviously got really petty.
And you know how I know this is because look at the films. Look at The Force Awakens. Granted, as bad of a film as it is, there's one element to it that doesn't add up specifically with The Last Jedi. And I know I'm not the first person to fucking say this. I'm not going to pretend I'm the first person to notice it, but it's absolutely true. You can watch the film. The first film is all about building up the mythology of Luke Skywalker and remembering who he was.
Yep.
You can tell JJ is leading it up to this thing where he is supposed to be the Jedi Master that we last saw, only probably even more powerful than we've ever seen him before. And Rian Johnson flat out told you that he went against what their plan was because he wanted to, divert expectations, subvert expectations, and all that bullshit.
Well,
that's why I knew the moment I saw that fucking thing with your Snoke theory is wrong. I'm like, this motherfucker is going to do something stupid just to prove us all wrong. Right? But I let it slide until I saw the actual fucking movie. And the moment, that's almost one of the things that pissed me off almost more than Leia, was the moment within a matter of minutes, not even actually minutes, like a matter of probably, 40 seconds? Well, first of all, they make Rey an absolute nobody, and they kill Snoke and make him an absolute nobody. And you want to know why that is? I'll tell you why that is, because Rian Johnson has seen nothing but, flutter online about who Snoke and Rey's parentage is. So how is it you make everybody fucking wrong unless they're one of the few people who actually said, oh, they're probably nobody, which was nobody. That's how, is you make them absolutely pointless characters. Like they have no parentage or no history whatsoever here. And at that point, you make everybody's theory wrong and you've subverted expectations at that point.
I'm surprised Rey wasn't trans by the end of it.
Well, she kind of is. She transitioned into a Skywalker.
She's a trans walker.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. But the other part too, you also have to remember, and this is why you can actually, this is where the good writing comes in, is that Rey doesn't have to be anyone important or with important.
No,
legacy.
not necessarily.
She forges her own, like Luke did, because again, we didn't have Anakin Skywalker in the original trilogy. Luke forged his own thing. We had no history really other than fables of Anakin Skywalker between 77 and 97. So Luke Skywalker was ostensibly a nobody, but he forged his own history. He forged his own path, and we fell in love with watching his story and his journey. Rian Johnson could have done that if he had actually cared enough to put in the effort. Same thing with J.J. Abrams. He was not actually, he was predicating Rey on someone that we didn't actually have to, he didn't have to actually work on. That could just be like, oh no, they're part of this thing, this family line. That's really important. And therefore I don't have to do any effort or work to make her a character because she's this relation. I mean, that is one of the biggest curses of Star Wars post Return of the Jedi, is the fact that there's so much weight put behind the Skywalker name and the Skywalker legacy that the characters end up suffering and become not too memorable, and it becomes more about the legacy instead of, hey, let's see a story about another Jedi or another character that's in Star Wars that's not related to anybody, that forges their own path. But we can't have that because I
agree with you, Script. Yeah. And to me, they did a disservice to the character making her a Palpatine. Like, she was better off being a fucking nobody than she was being a Palpatine. That's the problem I had. And we heard from her.
Stop dead naming her.
Yeah, well, we've also heard from how many other, like her and between other interviews, that first she started as she was going to be Luke and Leia's, or not Luke and Leia, Jesus Christ, Han and Leia's other kid. And then we also heard she was going to be a Kenobi for some fucking reason.
Because of accents and
because of accents and shit.
Accents accents.
So like whatever. And
then JJ was spitballing on set. I mean, trying to figure out what to do with her.
Well, at that point, because he'd already gotten the fuck you, because I believe the original idea was she was supposed to be the sister and the daughter of Han and Leia, and it was Rian Johnson that fucked that up. So then he was trying to probably think of some way to wrap it back around to how she could possibly be a Kenobi or some stupid shit.
So you're saying that the Reylos...
That's just a guess, but...
That would have ruined their lives if they were brother and sister. You could have just said they were Arkansas Skywalkers or something.
Arkansas Skywalkers. Well, our parents kissed too, our uncle and aunt did.
Yeah.
Uncle, auntie, mom.
Uncle Daddy.
Uncle Daddy and Auntie
Uncle
Mom.
Daddy.
Batman, well, you're right. It was Ryan that basically made him only a janitor. Yep. Yes, he was a janitor, but JJ flat out, and this comes from Boyega. Boyega said, though, that he was meant to be a Jedi. Or he was supposed to be force sensitive and all that shit down the road. And that's what he was promised.
Jar Jar did start the janitor thing, so he's an idiot.
Yes, he did. He did, but he was supposed to mean that he had a bigger role to play.
Jar Jar Abrams have had a plan for anything in his life.
Well, he was force sensitive.
In this case, he did, and he got fucked over in it. That's the one time I will say he did get fucked up. Yeah, he was supposed to be force sensitive. Yeah. Rose Tico forced him right out the picture, right out the side of the thing, forced him right off the ledge of a cliff, forced him. she literally hit him head on, like tried to kill his ass. Recreation of Shiso's sword unveiled at Rorino Kenshin exhibition. This is from Jack White. Thank you so much. It says a recreation of Shisho's iconic Mugenjin sword from Rorino Kenshin series made his first public appearance at the Kenshin versus Sashinu Rorino Kenshin at the... I can't even read some shit, man.
I'm like, man, your Japanese sucks.
It does. I ain't nowhere near this shit, man. The crafters of the sword are a father-son duo. They could have at least showed us the sword. Like, what the fuck?
Speaking of Japanese stuff, Kimetsu no Yaiba. The next chapter comes out in theaters, I think, this weekend. So, Demon Slayer.
Well, so there you go. So if you want to see this, it's at an exhibition. Thank you, Jack, for sending this in to us. For those who are interested, there you go. And so yeah, I did finally get that email, but that didn't seem like it was the one you were sending. You said something about movies coming out. That's about a sword. So, well,
Demon Slayer's got lots of cool swords in it.
Yeah, but he said something about movies coming out. So.
Well, it's good to slay demons with swords. I've found.
Well.
So.
Yeah. Just as long as you slay them, that's all that matters.
Right, true, but swords are always kind of connected to demons, aren't they?
Well, it depends, I guess. Let's see what the chat is saying, though. Mecha J says, you guys see the trailer for new live-action remake of Peter Pan and Wendy? They race swap Tinkerbell and the Lost Boys, and also gender swapping a couple of them. Yeah, I saw that. I didn't really care so much about the race swapping of Tinkerbell. It was and I wouldn't even have cared so much about them having a few of the Lost Boys be girls. It was just having that bit where she goes, "But you're not all boys."
We're so stupid.
Yeah, it was just so stupid.
Wendy Pan.
And then they had Wendy seem like she's a bigger play.
It's her movie, dude.
It seems. But the original book was called Peter Pan and Wendy, as was brought up.
Yeah, but not like this, though.
We all know why it's being added on.
No shit. I'll be honest with you. All that other bullshit aside, we have had more Peter Pan remakes than probably Robin Hood.
Oh God,
probably.
I don't know about that.
Just in the last 10 years, we've had like 2 or 3 Peter Pan live. Sony did that one like 2, 3. Well, no, maybe like 5 years ago now. It's been a few years, but they spent like almost $200 million on it. Had Hugh Jackman in it as Captain Hook.
Yep.
It bombed at the box office.
Oh yeah.
Last time and I think there was another one in between there somewhere. Where it was a more hipper Peter Pan one.
Well, don't forget Christopher Walken.
Yeah, the one that I was just talking about did have the modern music. You're right, Script, because they had like the Nirvana song or whatever in the fucking trailer and shit.
Well, here we go again.
Yeah, we got live action on ABC with Christopher Walken. Remember that one?
No.
Yeah, there was that one too. Yep.
Oh boy. Well, now you get the best of Captain
Hook. I have to Peter Pan.
Oh, he was so high when he was doing that. Could you? Oh my, he was drunk or something. I'll never forget that.
Where's Peter Pan? I don't remember the script.
Yeah, well, now you get the best of Sevar as Wendy Pan.
And I guess it's what's his face? Jude Law is playing Captain Hook. I'm like, I didn't even fucking recognize
Is that who that was?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I guess I'm like, I didn't even fucking recognize him.
Now is this is a cinematic release, right?
New movie, yeah.
No, this is actually only going straight to Disney Plus.
Oh
God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that special?
And Dustin Hoffman was amazing as Hook. Like, and that's one of those you hear. Because I remember when they announced that, they're like, Dustin Hoffman's playing Hook. We're like, what?
Yeah, right? And then you saw it, and it was like, oh my God, that actually worked.
Bob Hoskins was me.
Oh, Bob Hoskins. So one of the most Look,
Great.
I'll say it hands down. Bob Hoskins is the most underrated actor of his generation, hands down.
Oh, yeah.
He should have won an Oscar for Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
He should have, but he didn't even get nominated, dude. He should have.
I don't think he even got nominated because that's the thing is, and everybody has said it's like he acted.
Did he get nominated for Brazil?
I think so.
No.
I think he won once, didn't he?
No,
but it was for like one of his earlier. At least nominated.
No, I don't think he ever won. But
I
was like, I know Brazil was nominated for a few things. I couldn't remember if Bob Hoskins.
He got nominated way early in his career.
I don't think Hoskins was he in Brazil that much though. I mean,
well, no, maybe not.
I don't know, but either way, he should have been nominated. But he was so great as Eddie Valiant. I mean,
yeah. Well, and it's not just that; it's the acting he had to do, right?
Oh, yeah,
people don't realize it. We talk about nowadays with all these actors who have to act in front of green screens and stuff and act to characters who aren't there and shit.
Exactly. It was brilliant.
Nobody had done that kind of shit really before to that extent. And Bob Hoskins did it for an entire fucking movie.
Yes.
And you believe he is talking to that rabbit. And he didn't have a tennis ball. He didn't have any of that other shit. He just had, he even got to a point where he said, like, afterwards, like, there was some psychological shit he had to kind of go through therapy to kind of.
Zemeckis, he was joking
because, like, he got to a point where just the shit got too, like, he started claiming like he was hearing voices and shit at that point. Like, it was just like, because you get to talking, and he's like, you get to talking to so many people that aren't fucking there, and you start to wonder what the hell, because, like, and not only that, he's like, your focus gets off because you're focusing on nothing for hours.
Yeah.
And so then when you try to walk and see the real world, he's like, it's almost like being drunk and like you're just totally like out of it and shit. Of course, then he shot Super Mario Brothers completely inebriated.
Well, when you read that script, how could you not?
Yeah, I had no idea what the fuck they were doing after one day or another. Hey, Mikey, happy birthday yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mike.
I was told it was somebody's birthday.
Oh my God!
Yeah, that'd be me, Bat Tom.
All righty, I know you. You're that Mexican kid.
Yeah,
all
that's
right.
me.
So I don't know a Spanish birthday song. Is that going to be okay?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not that. Newsflash. I'm
what if I do like
cucaracha? Jeez.
I think I got this. Happy birthday, senor. Happy birthday, senor. Happy birthday, senor. Happy birthday, senor. Does that work?
Beautiful. Great job. A+.
I speak Spanish. I'm going to Taco Bell now. I'm totally like ordering everything on the menu.
I feel more racist now.
That's what we do here.
So, Mikey, big 5-0 or what yet, man?
No, dude.
He's not that
I don't
old.
know. I'm just asking. How would I know?
No way he's that old.
Oh, Jim Watari for $30. Jim.
Here he goes. Take a birthday drink.
I don't
What
have
was his
any,
birthday yesterday?
I'm in a hotel. I don't have any liquor on.
Oh, no.
Jim, I owe you one. I owe you one.
You're going to need the $30 because you're going to have to drink one out of the little bar thing in the.
They don't have
Do you even have a look?
No, they don't have. There's no liquor in this hotel room that I'm at right now.
What?
None.
Stupid
Jim,
Motel 6.
Jim, really? You think? Okay, hold on. Okay, wait.
No, Valiant, the reason I don't believe him that there's no liquor there is because I know this boy, and there ain't no way he's staying at no Hotel 6.
No, exactly, Valiant. Let me tell you, I don't know what kind of Mexican you think I am, but I'm not a Motel 6. I'm at the Hilton Garden Inn. There is a bar downstairs, but not one up here.
Oh my God! What kind of Mexican? You act like I said you're sleeping in the back of a Yugo with 5 other people.
Well,
he's bougie.
I like how I like how your default for me was Motel 6. You didn't default to like Marriott or some shit. Your default for me was Motel 6. You didn't default Hilton. You didn't. You could have said. But Mike, when you
could even have been Holiday Inn, right?
No, what he should have said is, wait a minute. The Ritz-Carlton always has liquor in the rooms, which they do. But of course, Valiant resorts to Motel 6. Now I know what he really thinks of me.
All right, Jim.
By the way,
Mikey owes you one.
I haven't given him shit in a while, so I had to do it here.
Thank you for my present. I got a script from the great script doctor, and I have a bunch of questions, and I want to hit you up this weekend and talk to you about it. It was excellent. Thank you.
Oh, well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Cute.
You're such a damn good writer. For all of you people that have watched script for years, it is such a trip to watch his. I mean, it's not the first thing I read that you sent me because you sent me other stuff, but This is a guy who not only is an industry pro, but someone who really it was masterful. It was masterful. I don't understand. I mean, script. I have the brilliant idea. Like you heard me say it the other day, and I know you weren't on screen with me when I said it. Okay, when you come to the U.S., I'm going to pick you up at the airport. In the morning, we're going to go to Paramount. You're going to fix all my Star Trek crap. Then in the afternoon, I'm going to take you to lunch. Then we go to Warner Brothers, and then on Tuesday we repeat. Wednesday repeat. Thursday repeat, and then Friday I take you to the spa for a wellness day.
Yeah, I love that.
Chris, who is that? What did Chris W just say? May Mexican Iron Man's birthday include a soft landing from jumping out of the window from whatever lady he was putting that? Come on, Chris! Chris, don't buy into these people's crap. Come on, Chris. Come on.
And all I got him was a box set of the entire Alf series.
I know. What? I'm going to get him some Flash figures.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, so you know what Shum sent me? Shum sent me a Flash care package.
I saw that.
All right.
An Alf care package?
A Flash care package.
Oh, an Alf and Flash care package.
No, just the Flash care package. Wait, cool. I better shut up. I'm going to give people ideas.
Wait, is that like Flash, like a flasher? Like he?
And yes, Marks, you were correct, and I apologize. I thought it was a couple months ago for some reason.
Actually, that big birthday show that we did was exactly a year ago yesterday.
Was it really? See,
yep.
I don't know how to tell time.
See how fast time flies? It was a year ago.
If you guys haven't figured out, that's why I don't ever start on time. I don't know what time it is.
Well,
some people can't read. I just can't tell what time it is.
Script, what do you think of my master plan to save Hollywood?
I think it's a great start.
Yeah, and then you don't have to drive anywhere. You can, and then you don't have to. All you got to do is fix all my Paramount and fix all my Warner Brothers stuff, and you get fed. I pick you up. And then we're done, and then we just repeat for like I think I'm going to give you 3 weeks. You can fix it all.
Well, yeah. I mean, I could do Warner Brothers in a week. I can do Paramount in a week, and then we can go over to Disney, and I can save Star Wars because, I've got a good idea there that people would really like.
I can get you in the door because the way we'll spin it is that I'll be the minority, and then you'll be my gay boyfriend, and that's how we'll get in there.
As long as he lets me make a Gremlins movie while he's at Warner's. And I get to work on TMNT while I'm over at he's over at the Paramount, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
Because Gremlins is awesome.
All right, so we ready to start the show now?
Oh, we've been starting the show, man. You're late. Waltman says, "Have you heard of the Battle of Castle Etir?" If I'm saying that right, definitely look it up due to the unlikeliest alliance ever made in World War II. Battle of the Castle Etir.
Is that Itter or
Itter?
Is that more anime?
No, I think this is actual history. Okay.
Oh, everybody in chat, whoever's
was fought on May 5th of 1945 in the Australian village of Itter in North Tyrol region of the country during the last days of the European theater of World War II. Troops of the 23rd Tank Battalion of the 12th Armored Division of the U.S. XXI Corps. What is that number? That's 10. That's 21, right? 21st Corps. Okay, led by Captain Jack Lee Jr. A number of Wehrmacht soldiers led by Major Joseph Sepp Gungel, SS Hoppenstufer. Okay, so I'm seeing where this is going. Kurt Siegfried Schrader and recently freed French prisoners of war defended Castle Etir against an attacking force of the 17th SS Panzer Grenadier Division until relief from the American 142nd Infantry Regiment of the 36th Division of Corps arrived. French prisoners included former prime ministers, generals, tennis star Joan Barotra, and Charles de Gaulle's sister. It is one of two known times in the war in which Americans and Germans fought side by side, the other being Operation Cowboy. Popular accounts of the battle have called it the strangest battle of World War II. There you go. Interesting. Sounds like it'd make an interesting movie.
Yeah.
Sounds like something they would have made back in the day with like Steve McQueen and the rest of the cast of the Magnificent Seven.
Oh, and
like a couple other Dirty Dozen. Yeah.
I was thinking you were going with the Dirty Dozen on that one.
Or even Escape, or Great Escape, even half the cast of that. Like
Great movies.
Yeah, no, it sounds right up that alley. That's awesome. Nikki D says, has there been any update on the Disney lawsuit against the estates of Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, and others for copyright control of the Marvel characters? None that I know of, but there was some flutter about it the other day where a few of the guys were talking about it, and I think they had said that they're getting more confident that they're going to win.
Yeah, I haven't seen much lately. I haven't seen anything lately.
Because it's been drug out so long.
Yeah. And that's the whole point of it being drugged out, so someone just gives.
Or you bankrupt the other party.
Yeah, bankrupting. Yeah, that's another way of getting them to fold. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they'll probably pay him out. Mecha J says Ryan Johnson, screw your theories, and then proceeds to smell his own farce. Yes, he does.
Had a whole South Park episode about Ryan Johnson.
And then Jack White said I sent the link with the email sent the link again. See if you got the email this time. Let me check.
While he's doing that, I will share my Flash care package for Clobby's sake.
Oh, sure.
I'd like to see that.
Please don't flash us your care
comics
package.
Or
don't flash your package.
Here's what he sent me. You ready? Here goes.
Ooh, got superpowers.
Flash
superpowers.
I got that one.
Yeah, I got that one. I had it fixed though.
Funko Pop.
Down with Funkos.
Oh,
okay, sure.
That was some of the shit I was thinking about sending you, and then I saw the video, and I'm like, shit.
I got a Flash shirt.
I like that.
That's actually I like that shirt, actually.
That shirt's great.
Another big figure. Cool.
Oh, my God.
It's got that dumb chin strap. I hate that.
All right, the first figure was the best thing.
I had to have that one.
I got that too, yeah.
That one he squeezes
Let's see if we can make friends. Mexican Iron Man.
Actually, if it's the newer one, they don't now script, which is bullshit.
Cross-platform.
No, they don't.
Team up. Marvel, Mexican Marvel.
Yeah,
Marvel
I know, the classics too.
So that was my care package.
But yeah, McFarlane re-brought them out now script here, and they don't do the fucking super action. It's bullshit. No. They look good.
I only have the original run. I never bought I bought the old school stuff on eBay. I got them for a steal. The only thing I don't have are the some of the accessories for them. Mm-hmm. Like I don't have Hawkman's mace and I don't have Green Arrow's bow.
Right.
Or Hawkman's trident. But if I can figure out the proper plastic type, I could probably replicate them myself.
These new ones, McFarlane screwed up on some of them. I don't know. Some of them are all right, but some of them look like crap and they're the wrong figures. They're not really. They're called superpowers, and they're nothing like the original superpowers figure.
They don't have superpowers.
I was disappointed.
They don't do the superpowers.
Well, that too.
Yeah, I was very disappointed in that respect. And yes, Superman I was correct. Actually, Bob won the year before Roger, or got nominated, didn't win. Nominated only one time the year before Roger Rabbit for Mona Lisa. I was trying to remember what movie it was. I knew it was some movie like that. Yeah.
There you go.
So, and then we've got this other email from Jack White. Let's go through this real quick here. We've got G-Kids screen 10 Studio Ghibli films in the U.S. In March through November. G-Kids announced Tuesday that it and Fathom Events will screen 10 Studio Ghibli films. These are ones I actually may have heard of. Hayao Miyazaki films in the United States during the Studio Ghibli Fest 2023 event from March to November. I can see this being very popular. So there you go. The event will start with the 35th anniversary of My Neighbor Totoro from March 25th to 29th. The event will then screen for the first time in North America the film performance of Spirited Away live on stage, the stage play adaptation. So there you go. And then goes into more. Ponyo will come on the 15th anniversary in May. And then Kiki's delivery service will follow. Then Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. I don't know that one. Castle in the Sky.
Animated film. That's a
Princess Mononoke. I know most of these. Mononoke, and then Porco Rosso, and then The Wind Rises, and Howl's Moving Castle eventually is the last one here. So there you go. Some of those I've actually heard of. So there you
cool.
Go. I think that'll be a very popular one because I know a lot of people like those. So there you go.
Even I've seen Nausicaa of the Wind, but I haven't seen too many of those. But
sad though they'll be digital, but I wish they would do some more. We need some more 35mm revival houses, damn it. John Apocalypse yells at me for reminding him about the pan from 2015. I'm sorry.
Yes, stop doing that.
Just fart in his mouth next time. God.
Yeah, I guess, like a normal human being would. Jack White says, Mike, I just won you a life-size elf statue, elf trading card, elf cups, and a plate. It's collection looks like.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Oh,
If you don't
darn
want
it.
I'll take it.
Forgot. Okay, you can have it all. Because
Keep
I
that like
him, Jet. Yeah.
God, can you imagine if I actually had to look at something that was in real life?
If I don't take it from you, you'll probably destroy it when you get pissy.
Dude, if I had a life-size Elf statue, I'd take a sledgehammer to it. But I would do I would social media it first. It would be instead of an unboxing, it would be a thrashing.
It's the thought that counts, Mike.
Oh yeah. Thanks, Jack White. And with that.
And with that, it sounds board, just to answer the question, it sounds like just the one is the stage play. It sounds like the rest are going to be the original animated films. So at least that's my interpretation of the article. So there you go. And with that, was there anything else you guys wanted to chit chat about? I think we covered pretty much everything tonight. Nick, we gotta talk about John Wick here in a little bit, don't we?
Oh hell yeah!
I just saw that again on the plane flying to Houston. Again,
1 hour.
You're out and about. You should be joining us on.
Yeah, I'd
Toxic
love to have
Tuesday
you
to
on.
talk some John Wick with a fucking
I got
pencil.
work. 3 men with a fucking pencil.
Dude, I remember when I first heard that line. I'm like, damn, a fucking
I once saw
pencil.
him kill a man in a bar.
Did we see
a
that with The
pencil.
Dark Knight?
Yes, we did.
No, I can't wait to talk about it. Especially, it's a good timing because it's we're gonna do Toxic Tuesday, 3 weeks of Wick, 1, 2, and 3 weeks in a row, which will tie in nicely to when the 4th movie comes out in a few weeks. So we've
Nick,
never really done something like that before. What's up,
Nick? Is that would that be the 4th John Wick movie coming out in March?
Correct.
That is right now outpacing by 20 to 40% Shazam 2 and Creed 3. That
Yes.
John Wick 4.
That John Wick 4.
Okay,
Dude,
just checking.
Not even that.
Just checking.
I finally saw the trailers for Shazam. God, that movie's gonna suck.
I actually don't think it looks bad.
It actually, you realize Shazam 2's opening is tracking worse than
Yes,
Creed.
I am aware of that. No, that's not lost on me. I
Yeah,
will
they have
look at the
basically
numbers, and
not
it does
done
not
any
look good.
advertising for that movie.
That
movie's
is going
gonna
to be
suck.
a wet
Even Creed
fart at the
3
box
is not
office.
getting that much push. Like, look, I
Yeah.
got the Rocky 4K set today. Wouldn't you think they would at least have something in there to advertise that Creed 3 is coming out? Because that's the only reason they're releasing this shit. Not a fucking thing in there.
You
Not
know
even
what?
a lousy coupon.
You know what Creed 3 was counting on for its marketing, right? A huge damn box office for Ant-Man Quantumania.
That
Because that's
too.
why they were hyping Jonathan Majors in the media for weeks. The next big thing and all this. Oh my God, Jonathan Majors is awesome. New big bad in the MCU. with the subtext of being, don't forget to see him in Creed 3. And nobody went to go see it. Nobody gives a shit about Quantumania. And it's basically tanked. It's probably cut Creed's box office in half.
Were you here the other day? Were you watching when I did the thing where I went through all the tweets on that one advertisement for Creed? The one that you weren't here, but I remember.
No, that last week when I was on
commented
Mardi
your
Gras
tweet
break.
on there. Because if you go through it, and like I said, it was almost like a 3-to-1 ratio of negative comments, and most of them were like no Sly, no ticket kind of shit.
Yeah. No ticky. Yeah, no.
People are aware he's not in it now, and they're getting to the point, and especially after he come out and.
I still don't like what they did to Apollo Creed.
Me either. That's why I didn't like the first Creed.
I hate that.
That's just not. It's the worst case of doing. Not only are they doing a bad dad trope on them, but the guy was obviously a great fighter, and even though him and Rocky start off on the wrong foot, they obviously became friends that had one of the greatest homoerotic relationships in all movies. Like he brought his character full circle. You got to see him evolve too, like humanizing himself.
Well,
and now
not just that.
They turned Apollo Creed into a black stereotype, a black father that abandoned his son.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Even beyond that point, let's take one more second here. The bigger part I had a problem with is, okay, you could have done that if you were actually going to parallel the Rocky story and have him come up from the streets and not use his father's name, what have you, blah 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 blah. That's not the case though. Mrs. Cosby came in and fucking adopted him when he was a little kid, so he had a fucking silver spoon up his ass the whole time anyway, just like any of his brothers and sisters did their whole life growing up. So why did it have to be an illegitimate son? It makes absolutely no fucking sense.
It doesn't.
There's no reason or rhyme to it, because the whole movie should have been, if you're not going to do that, it should have just been one of his kids who wants to be a boxer, and he's got to get out from his under his father's shadow. and he goes to Rocky to learn how to be a brute fighter, unlike his dad. He's like, I want to be a different fighter than my dad was, or something to that effect. You didn't have to go to the extreme of making Apollo any less of a person than he was before. It is horribly done. But that's why I like the second one, though, because we get past all that stupid shit, and the second one actually feels like a fucking Rocky movie, and I think that's the one that Sly had the most to do with, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they direct it.
He might have. I know he at least co-wrote it, if I'm not mistaken, because they have all the Drago shit in there, and all that stuff is good, and you actually got, you know, Rocky's struggle with cancer, and he beats it and shit, and it's like, this is a fucking Rocky movie, right? And then I hear this shit about part 3, and at first I was excited when I heard the Drago news, because I thought they were actually doing what I thought they were going to do, and then we hear from Stallone what's really going on. I'm like, fuck. Yeah. I wouldn't have been against Creed 3 and having Rocky not being in Creed 3, when the possibility was just basically you have a scene where Adonis goes, Rocky's hanging out in Russia. Mm-hmm. And then you go to see the Creed movie or the Drago movie, and there's, you know, Rocky in Russia with Drago and his son, and they're retraining his son. Mm-hmm. Right? Like that's the movie I wanted to see. I'm like, cool, I'm good with that. Nice. Spin this off into more movies. Rocky
I have an
being
idea
here.
how to do a Rocky
because
spin-off.
we need yet another movie universe, just the thing that we need, so no story ever ends.
I didn't have a problem with it at first, but yeah, go ahead.
What about we have a spin-off where we track Rocky's illegitimate and long lost Latino brother called Taco Balboa?
Rising up, eat tacos on the street.
This is why Mike is here, always to bring in more racial stereotypes.
Making burritos and enchiladas.
Dear you two, all these ethnic jokes are being made by a person of Latino descent. So please,
chopping cebolla and making horchata. He has the will to survive. He may not be legal, but he's got the fight of an heart. And
my God.
What? No? Is it like this? He may not be legal, but he's got fuego in heart. And he's
got weights in his basement, and on his wall is a velvet tiger.
And then to make his way, and then in order to get his ring fees, he has to make tacos out of his truck at night. So he has to landscape by day and make tacos by night to afford his gym trainer. Oh my God, this is gonna be script. You're gonna write the script.
Yeah, that's actually a really compelling story. Comical as it is, it can be really compelling.
This is already on
the Home Depot.
Yes.
And
he's never seen a tiger, no, but he has a velvet painting on his wall of a tiger.
God. Tigre
on his wall.
Tigre.
Yes. And he's got a weight set in his basement.
Dude, that's perfect. Taco Balboa, and that's the name of his lunch truck.
Taco Balboa.
So is this gonna? Do we need to change the theme song to "The Eye of the Low Rider"? Because
that's even better.
Yeah. Dude, we're already in randomly in 3 minutes funnier than the first 30 of Cocaine Bear that I saw on Saturday
night. Buzzy dies.
Hydraulics, low riders. Nice. Yeah. Oh my God.
It's got hydraulics.
In low riders. We're going to hell. All right.
Yes, we are. Oh, lordy.
All the way there.
I'll see you there, guys.
That's fine. It all rhymes with Zack Snyder, so we got to throw
all the fun people are in hell anyway. We all know Paul Lynn's there, right? So, fuck it. We're all going to have a good time. Paul Lynn has got to be one of the most hilarious human beings in the face of the earth.
How am I going to hell during Lent as a Catholic?
Did you ever hear about the time he got pulled over?
Wait, sorry, say again.
Okay, well, one of the times, the scene in Groundhog's Day, Bill Murray stole that from Paul Lynn. It came from a story where one time he got pulled over for drunk driving in L.A.
Oh, okay.
And the cop knocks on his window and he rolls it down and he goes, "Yes, I'd like to order a cheeseburger and a shake." There was another time where he crashed into a fucking what the hell was it? Like a fountain. I can't remember what the hell he said, but it was hilarious. But anyway, moving on. We got more super chats here. Mega J says, if you want an accurate live action Peter Pan, I recommend watching 2003 version. It's pretty good and will probably be better than Disney's. I was gonna say, I know there's so many different versions of it. Then somebody brought up the BBC version that came out a couple of years back too. Unless that's the same one. Jack White says, Tom, I sent you another email with a link to an article with the Dune prequel series. Check it out. All right, this is the last one we can get to because we're running out of time now.
And I'm hungry, and I haven't eaten in 7 hours.
Either. It's been longer.
Wow, that's weird.
All right. This is something
I'm
actually
right
Andre
now.
probably interested. Well, of course you are. You eat on stream all the time, Nick. We expect it.
I'm eating ginger pretzels right now. They're really good.
Well,
They
according
got,
to this,
coating.
the Dune prequel series is undergoing creative changes as it loses director and star. Ooh,
Oh, well, this was interesting. Yeah, I saw this.
HBO Max's Dune prequel series, The Sisterhood of Dune, has yet another internal change, losing both the director and one of its stars. Deadline first broke the news today. Star Shirley Henderson, who was set to play Tula Harkonnen, and Johan Rennick, who was planned to direct the first 2 episodes, have both exited the series as it apparently undergoes creative changes. Ooh. As Dune says, the Sisterhood has entered into the pre-scheduled hiatus. There are some creative changes being made to the production in an effort to create the best series possible and stay true to the source material. An HBO spokesman said in a statement, Johan Rennick, Renk, however you say that, sorry, has completed his work on the series and a new director will be brought on through mutual agreement. Johan is moving on to pursue other projects. Additionally, Shirley Henderson will be exiting the series and will no longer be playing Tula. So they're going to be reshooting, obviously, whatever they did do, it sounds like.
Yeah, because if he ended up shooting the pilot for the series and they used it, he would have to be paid $10,000 minimum for every subsequent episode, and I don't think they'd want to do that.
To be honest, it sounds like to me is that this chick ain't working out and he fought for her.
Probably.
That's what it sounds like to me. So there you go. I'm going to send this to Andre, actually, Jack, because this is something he'd be more interested in. But yeah, that's my take on the matter. That's what it sounds like. Not good look, considering this series has been kind of in
trouble since the start.
Development trouble, yeah, for a while. I didn't even realize they were this far along, though, either. That's kind of news. I didn't realize they'd already started shooting it.
Neither did I. I hadn't heard of anything on the production stuff they're doing.
I was surprised when I read that a couple hours ago or whenever it was.
So
it popped up.
that's one bit of news, though, too, that they are that far along. So there you go. That means it should be timed pretty well with the sequel. If they actually get their shit in the bag.
It'd probably be coming right out after the sequel, I would imagine.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, it'd be around at the same time, yeah. If they can get their shit in the bag. But we'll see on that. Dearest sends us a super sticker. Thank you so much, Dearest. I believe it's a thumbs up. Yes, it is. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. There's over, there was almost 800 of you at one point. Now there's still almost 700 of you watching. Almost half of you have not hit the like button. Please hit that like button. It don't cost you a dime. It only takes a moment of your time. I want to thank everybody for listening today. Clobby, what do you got coming up?
I think Lucky and I will be doing the comic roundtable tomorrow night, Wednesday, as we often do, and then my open show tomorrow night, and then the clubhouse on a Thursday night with Raquel and Mark, and then Saturday night Star Trek. Saturday night, so a busy week.
The clubhouse.
The clubhouse. Thank you for that. Thank you. I steal that from you, but
go for it.
I'm no Kevin Feige.
I
was gonna say Stan Lee. He taught him whatever he knows.
Oh my lord. Clobby, I still got to hit you up next time I pass through Baton Rouge again in the next week or two. I know.
Dude, I'd love to meet you, man. It'd be cool.
I know. We've been talking about this since forever. Will you DM me when we finish here? And
I shall, sir.
I will send you my phone number or something.
DMs.
Slide up in my DMs.
You got it.
Because I keep forgetting. I was like, I know I've got to get back to St. Francisville here in the next couple of weeks. So
really?
If I can, usually we stop at Bass Pro Shop.
Oh, there you go.
When we go through.
On
the denim side, on the I-12 side on denim.
Yeah.
So I got to remember to hit you up when I'm out that way again.
Cool. It was also
for any of those stalkers of Valiant Renegade out there, you'll know where he'll be.
Yes, there exactly where he'll be.
We'll tweet it out.
Snowdub's in the house, and actually, it's not very. It's actually we joke about that, but with some of the Diz nerds out there, you might not be kidding. Snowdub says Taco Balboa versus blubber lang sounds amazing.
Oh my God.
I want that boy. I want his taco in my belly.
Oh Lord. Oh God.
Did you get the super sticker from Dearest?
Yes, we did. It's a thumbs up.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Yes, we did. Thank you so much. And Script Doctor, what are you doing? Got any Viking coming up?
Not really. What I will be doing is, I think, what is it? Tomorrow, you have a new episode of Star Trek Picard and The Mandalorian. So I'll be reviewing those on my Patreon. And before this weekend, I should also have a retro review of one of the Marx Brothers' first films. I haven't decided which one I'm going to watch yet, because I did get a nice collection of them. So I'm going to be watching those and writing a great review on how brilliant those guys were back in the 30s. And
start with Monkey Business or Horse Feathers. I mean, although coconuts and
I've got like 9 of them. Hold on one second. Let me just quickly grab.
Coconuts
I've got
first.
A Day at the Races, A Night at the Opera, A Night in Casablanca, Animal Crackers, Duck Soup, Horse Feathers, Love Happy, Monkey Business, Room Service, The Coconuts. So those are going to be the ones I'll be.
All the great ones. Start at the beginning and stop after A Day at the Races. But
yeah, I think The Coconuts is the first one. So yeah, that's the one I'm going to.
Yes, it is. Then Animal Crackers, Monkey Business, Horse Soup, great ones.
Are you going to be doing a guest appearance on another channel of a mutual friend of ours?
Yes. I just don't know when it's going to debut exactly, but I am going to be on it because I think it's a recording we're doing.
Yeah.
With WDW Pro.
Yeah. Can't wait to see that, man. That'd be great.
It's going to be a lot of fun because we're going to be talking characters and best ways of approach to certain classics. So yeah,
very cool. I will spill the beans on something, and Pro can get mad at me later, but I will tell you what he told me about this. He said, and I quote, "I really like Script Doctor." All right, I said it. That's actually what
I know he really likes me. I really like him. I've been reading him for like 3 years now.
He got a budding romance.
All right, I'm going to do breaking news as we sign off or try to sign off on the show. Valiant, I got news flash for you. You ready? I'm
going to go for it.
We're still trying to figure out which of us, if any of us, like you.
I thought it was nobody. I thought that was a trick question.
No, that was culture you're thinking of.
I'm the one that booked your damn Motel 6 room, you bastard.
That was pretty funny. That was a pretty good one. You got me. That was a good one.
Camelbot Killer says, Valiant, what percent will Iger change direction of the or what chance of a percentage of a chance, I think he means.
What?
Relatively close to 0. Yeah. That's why he's back. And
the direction was set by that asshole.
I mean, exactly. I mean, that's I mean, look, just because he and Kennedy may not get along and he may be the one to really try to push her out the door finally, don't take that as, oh, well, he's saving. No, he isn't. No, he isn't. He's on board. He's on board with everything Feige's doing with Victoria Alonso. He's the one that set all this crap in motion over the years. People asking, well, why you're saying this now? You're changing your story from what you said, several months ago. Well, several months ago, Bob Chapek was in the CEO chair. Bob Iger wasn't. He came back.
Yeah, and as I pointed out the other day on the morning show, a lot of people owe, like us, including yourself, some apologies because, we learned that there was a civil war going on, and Chapek actually went to DeSantis himself.
Well, we knew that.
I can't deal with these fucking wokies anymore.
Yeah, we knew. We said it last year when the story broke, and we kind of did another I told you so protocol about the Reedy Creek thing. I put a video out this morning.
You know how I envisioned that had that been an in-person meeting somewhere in the Capitol in Florida, I envisioned that it would have gotten down something like DeSantis would have said to Iger something like from the scene of The Godfather, "You can act like a man."
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like I feel bad for the guy.
Chapek?
Yeah, Chapek's one fault was that he didn't have that public, fortitude to just say,
piss off. And I said this I said this literally.
Smart guy. He wanted to try to change things.
I said he's a fucking accountant personality, and I know how these personalities are, especially when they get into executive roles.
Yes.
That's why I don't have many friends who are in the accounting industry. Bunch of bait-ass bitches. Sorry.
Yeah. we told everybody. He did not.
Hey, I got to go eat. I got to run. Love you all.
Yeah, we're going to run.
Go
ahead.
So,
Mikey, you got something coming up at all?
Just lots of traveling, and my mom's really sad. I got to call her before she goes to bed. Bad news in the family. Her pet she had found out just an hour ago that or a couple hours ago he has an incurable condition and had to put him down today. And mom's been crying. So I'm gonna give her a call and then I'm gonna grab some food. So
all right, well,
buddy. Good luck with that.
Sorry to end it on a sad note. Hey, on a good note though, me and Script, we're gonna shop this script around about Taco Balboa. Look for it, people. Look for it.
Hell yeah.
Latino slant. I don't want to hear you, but get off of my live stream and talk about workouts. Go shave your mustache. If you got time to comment on my live stream that I'm on, you got time to shave a mustache. Latino slant.
And then Camelbot says Valiant. So Disney is burning in RIP.
I mean, I don't know what your definition of that is specifically, Camelbot. I mean, I want to make it clear because I get a lot of comments on my videos about, well, Disney's going to go bankrupt. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Disney is not going bankrupt. Again, I keep reminding people, as I have since forever and a day, that the theatrical releases that Disney does, the things that we complain about how bad they are, right? Because this is the big headline stuff. That amounts to a pittance of Disney's overall operating income. That's
no,
just
they'll sell that shit off before they go bankrupt.
Yeah, I mean, it's they can, and what I keep reminding people is you got to remember, they're hiding the losses in Disney Plus. That's been the big bugaboo, right? Is because you got $11 billion of accumulated losses at this point for Disney Plus, and that's largely because they pulled a bunch of Pixar movies out of theaters, right? Things like Turning Red and all this, and they put them straight to Disney Plus. Disney Plus is basically writing $100 million checks to Pixar, to Lucasfilm, to Marvel and all this kind of stuff. When these things go 30 days, 45 days, 17 days, or no days with a theatrical exclusive window, Disney Plus is writing the checks out of a credit line effectively to make up for these studios. That can only go so far. And when you announce things like, we're going to have cuts on content spend, on this and that and the other thing, my prediction is one of the things, regardless of my politics, if I'm Bob Iger, one of the things I'm going to look at is, all right, look, we got to be real about this. These properties, if we're going to keep them going onto Disney Plus after 45 or 60 days in the theater, and we're not going to license them out to an Amazon Prime, we're not going to license them out to Netflix. I'm of the mindset that Universal Studios, I think, has the most brilliant agreement possible for a pay-one window. You know, they feed Peacock for the first 4 months. They feed Amazon Prime and Netflix for the next 10. Then it goes back to Peacock. They get billions of dollars for doing that from these other two companies. Disney's bringing them all home. Disney's going to have to cut those paychecks. They're not going to be able to keep paying $100 million, $200 million. When people ask, how does Disney Plus rack up $1.5 billion a quarter in losses? That's how. They're writing big fat checks to Pixar and Marvel for all these movies coming on to make it look like it's like Dwayne Johnson said about Black Adam. Oh, it's going to be profitable. Even though it bombed its ass off in the theaters, doesn't mean it's a bad movie. Oh, it's going to be profitable. No, it's going to be profitable because Warner Brothers is going to write a check from the right pocket over to the left pocket. You know, from HBO Max over to distribution in the studios to put it on HBO Max as if Netflix was paying the bill, but it's coming out of the same effective bank account. It's just that's the problem. Disney's going to have to change that. Used to be how they
could conserve and hide some money within the studio, but now that's counter because they're still not getting in that other revenue. Like we've had this conversation a million times over, and we're closing it up here. So yeah. But Gonzalo Bergali gifted 5 Midnight's Edge memberships. Holy cow! Thank you again, guys. That's so generous of you. Buttcrack Media also did a set earlier as well. Thank you guys for that. And with that, Mikey, I know you had to leave, so if you have to check out, go ahead. But Camelbot says VR. I never said will go bankrupt, but I mean they will lose their number 1 spot as king of the block and never get it back. Well, they're slowly getting there. Yes.
Yeah. No, Camelbot. I'm sorry if I made it sound like I was directing that at you. I wasn't. I'm just saying I have comments in my chat. I was asking to clarify because there's some people out there who think that does that mean Disney's going bankrupt or does it mean that they're going to do other things? So I'm trying to delineate between the two, but yeah, no worries, man. But yes, they've already lost their number 1 spot. Wait till Mario Brothers comes out in a few weeks. I mean,
that movie's gonna do gangbusters.
That was one thing we forgot to cover.
I'm going to tell you right now,
Mario Brothers up, kids.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, the third-party, disconnected, totally separate merchandise people, the manufacturers, the merch makers, the toy makers out there, I can tell you definitively, they are expecting that the NCU, the Nintendo Cinematic Universe, is going to blow the frickin' doors. It's gonna put Marvel in the taillights. It's gonna put whatever they have left of Star Wars in the taillights. So yeah, Disney's right now. Disney is done. They are no longer the kingpin when it comes to overall sales and merchandising going forward at this point. That's the outlook.
All right. So what's that? Valiant, do you got anything coming up that you want to plug?
Like I said, we did a wrap-up video on the Reedy Creek thing today after Ron DeSantis' presser yesterday morning. Check that out, Me Pro and Legal Mindset. Put the video out this morning at about 10 Eastern. There will be a few more. I need to do a video on the AMC financial earnings call that happened today, this afternoon. I've got some updated figures on them and Cinemark and some of the remarks that CEO Adam Aaron made probably the next few days. And then, of course, the Sunday live show, Renegade Online, 6 p.m. Eastern. That's about it right now.
All right. And we already got Clobby, right? So, Nick, yes, you got Toxic Tuesday coming up in just over a half hour, correct?
Yes, sir. John Wick, man. I'm excited. Let's get to it. Please come and hang out, man, as we talk about one of the best recent action movies in recent times. And I think it's one that will definitely, not to jump the gun, but I truly believe it will stand the test of time. So, yes, thanks for having me, Tom. Always good to hang out with you guys and chat. Thank you all for being here. Make sure before you get on out of here and head to Toxic Tuesday, make sure you give Tom, let's see if you can give him a 500 thumbs up. I know that's 92 away, but he deserves it. This has been a great show.
Man, so don't be no bitch and hit that like button.
Huge for Tom. All right.
I pity the fool. Don't hit the like button.
So, yeah. Thank you for having me. Great show.
Always glad to have you. And with that, we'll wrap it up. Thanks, kids. This will link directly to to the Toxic Tuesday stream, so you guys will see it over there. And hopefully, you guys make it over there because we'll see you talking about some John Wick. I'm trying to find something to play here. I don't know what to play.
John Wick.
John Wick.
Timber. This sucks.
Yeah, it really